This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Very, 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 Mickey, 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 Fishy, Fishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Like who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
Welcome once again to the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I am Rich Craich, alongside, as always, a man who has achieved godlike status and a very good family man, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
I can't believe you're sticking to that godlike status one. It's almost
working. Yeah, it's kind of working. It's got a nice flow to it, and I mean, hey, it is what the listeners said, so I can't I can't deny it.
I think your plan is just to do it every week until I'm embarrassed, and then it like turns into a thing where
have you ever been ashamed of your self-confidence ever?
No.
Yeah,
but
so, let's be honest. That's probably not going to happen. So
I got to be honest. I watch Cody get introduced on these AEW shows where he like rises up from beneath the arena and this epic music plays and there's lights and the lights are turned off. I'm like, that's how I should enter the flagship.
Well, you do. It's just nobody sees it. I mean, we just don't have video, but
well, if we ever do a video simulcast, that's the kind of entrance I want.
Sure. You'd also have to wear pants though, and that's going to be an issue.
Pants would be an issue. I am, in fact, I'm not wearing pants right now.
Please tell me you're wearing underwear at least.
No, I am. I got
the
boxer brief gimmick, and and of course the white tee, which is always a size too small to show off the guns.
Could you be more stereotypical?
No, I could not.
Is there a mustard stain on it too? Like,
no, there's no stains.
Clean. Yeah.
When I cook, I'll put on like an old tattered one that's stained, because it's going to be a mess, But, I like, when the wife comes home, Rich, she deserves to come home to a man, in some boxer briefs and a white tee one size too small, where the chest and the guns are just like, she works hard all day.
Exploding out of them.
Yeah, she works hard all day and deserves to come home. One day I'll be woefully out of shape and I'll look like a stuffed sausage when I put on this outfit, and I won't do it anymore. You got to take advantage of it. Did you happen to hear over on The Competition, Rich? Did you happen to hear Dave Meltzer's existential crisis he had?
Oh my God, yes. That was incredible. Yeah, so people that don't know, it was this morning's Wrestling Observer Radio with Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. And Dave Meltzer basically goes on and talks about how it's his 60th birthday today. And really for the next 25 minutes takes you on a journey through the mind of a Dave Meltzer. And it is as joyful as he's been in a long time. And there's points where Brian's breaking down. Like, it is great audio. I will not lie. I was just bursting out laughing on my ride home, especially when he's mimicking the weights talking to him. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this is unbelievable. And he's like weaving you through like his genetics and like the fact that Bruno Sammartino told him when he was 58, that's when you stop, developing muscle or something like that. Like, what is going on? Like, I thought Dave was like high or something, man. He was on a thing for sure.
He started off very melancholy, would be the word I'd use, that he was turning 60, right? Almost like a man confronting his mortality.
Sure, right, which you do on a daily, hourly basis. So
I do, I am obsessed with death, and it just consumes me. And I wish I could stop thinking about death, because it's bad. But look, 60 is a big one, right? What are the big ones? 30 is a big one, right? In terms of kind of coming to grips with aging, like sure. 30 is a big one.
Yeah.
I think 50 is probably a big one, right? And 60 is kind of a big one. After 60, I don't think there's any more big ones. I think because once you hit like 70, you're
pretty much just old as fuck after 60.
You're pretty fucking old once you're like, I don't think 70, 80, those matter like in terms of a mental thing. But 60's a pretty. I think you think 60's a big
There's
one.
There's a threshold there. Yeah, you're old. I mean, and you've really. I think at this point you start opening up new things that you can get and senior discounts and whatnot. Like 60's a big one. 60 does sort of change the game a little bit because 50 you still feel like, all right, you got a little bit of energy and whatnot. And yeah, I feel like 60, and I think it's because you said like there is no landmark until you're like 100. You know what I mean? There is no other after 60. Right. It's just like, well, I'm just old, and then you're just old. Like when you turn 70, nobody gives a shit that you turned 70. You're just old. You've been old. We know you're old. Like, and then 80 is, wow, you're getting really old. And then 90, it's like, all right. And then 100, it's like, wow, you're really old and you're still alive. How is that happening? And then you die pretty quickly after. So,
yes, but he's having like this existential crisis, and it's sad. But then he kind of morphed into like being at peace with it. Then he's talking about how the weights in the gym talk to him. And he had this gimmick voice for the weights. Rich, I'm not making any of this up.
No, you're not. I thought people were being like a little. I didn't know what people were saying, and I listened to I was 20 minutes in. I'm like, what are people talking about with Dave talking about the weights? And all of a sudden, he's talking about, I go to the gym, and the weights are like, hey, use me. Hey, Dave, use me. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I was just looking around to make sure nobody was like in the car next to me hearing what was going on as I'm listening to it. And he's like, hey, Dave, lift me. You'll like it. And I'm like, what? It was like a PSA. It was like a drug PSA that you like watch during school where they're like, you're going to like walk home from school and some guy's going to want to give you drugs. And it's like, that's how the weights were to Dave. He was like in the gym to work on like an exercise bike, and then the weights were like, Dave, use us. Dave, come on, you want to. Like the devil and on the one side of his shoulder saying, oh, this is what you need to do. You need to lift my weights. It's just very, very odd. It was certainly weird.
Alvarez was confused, and Dave basically explained how he's so jacked at 60. And then he was talking about how good his genetics are, but he knows it's not going to last forever. And Bruno told him that at 58, you can't build muscle mass anymore. And this was a man who it's almost like he was trying to talk himself into being content with turning 60. And then he was talking about his journey through being a fan and how wrestling lucha looked fake to him until he met some Mexican friends and it opened his eyes, and he somehow tied that into Dynamite Kid and Marco Stunt.
Yeah, I love the seamless transition into somehow people being clones of Dynamite Kid. And at one point, Brian, who's just kind of being taken on this ride along with us, like goes, wait, what? Why are we talking about Dynamite Kid now? Wait, what happened? Like we were just talking about the weights talking to you at a gym, and now we're talking about that in the 80s there was a lot of Dynamite Kid clones, and that was like, again, this is like a roller coaster ride through the brain of a Dave Meltzer. It was certainly something.
He was talking about his wife or ex-wife or whatever she is by name. It was and then poor Alvarez, who has a toddler and an infant, just wants to get on with it.
He's like, there was one point, I forget what he said. He's like, well, you're getting old, but at least these Wednesday night wars are good shows, Dave. And that, like,
yes.
Tried, and Dave just blew through that, and in the next 15 minutes, Brian probably went to go feed his child or something like that because he realized, all right, I tried. It's not happening. It's not going to work. All right, no problem. Like,
yeah. So
there was also a Roy Shire like random direction it went into where he started talking about booking philosophies or whatever.
Yes.
And how when he was a child, like he thought lucha wasn't real wrestling, and then he found out that it was real wrestling. Like, what is going on?
Dave took us like through his entire lifespan in those 22 minutes. And it was very very unlike him. And I hope moving forward, Dave rules, first of all. Big Dave supporter. I'm not one of these geeks who's getting on Dave's case. I love Dave. But I hope this is like the new Dave. This is like the enlightened. I've reached a point in my life where I don't have to care about anything anymore. Like he by the end of it, he went from melancholy to enlightened. And it was just some audio trip. But how I'm coming full circle on that, Rich, is when I no longer look like I'm chiseled out of granite in my one size. In my one size too small, super tight white tee. When I'm turning 60 and I'm passing the Bruno threshold of when your body just goes south, I'll no longer rock this look. But for now, this is my lounging at home uniform. I want to be comfortable, but, I also want to keep TLB on her toes. You know what I'm saying? So there's a nice balance there. So that explains why I do this show in my underwears.
Got it. Well, that's thank you for that enlightened journey. Well, one thing I did want to touch on before we get into the wrestling part of this, and I'm not going to do every year around this same time we do the Dopey show where I say, Joe, what candy are you giving for Halloween and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't need to do that again. Everybody knows you're the full size candy bar guy on the block, which is good. That's a good thing to be. Are you, for the record, you're still that guy, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't do it for everyone. Like, you got to get here early.
Got it. Okay, so it's like a certain...
Yeah, I'm not the Monopoly man. Okay, this shit's not cheap.
Right.
So,
not making that much on Patreon, guys.
Exactly. But if you get here early enough, especially, like, remember, we've been doing this show 7 years. So, 7 years ago...
Please don't remind me.
Yeah, almost 8 years or whatever the fuck. 8 years.
I know. Don't, please.
So, almost 8 years now. But 7-8 years ago, Rich, I'm a swinging bachelor. I got money. I got extra money. I could do the full-size bar
kids,
for every
no
kid.
wife. Yeah, everyone's just eating well.
I'm feeding a lot of people over here now. So now, if you want to get the full-size bar, okay, it's like the first 10 customers only. You see what I'm saying? So, which works out good because it's usually like early in the Halloween, it's the little kids that come out because they got to be in bed by 7, 8 o'clock, And I like taking care of the little kids better than like some, the snot-nosed teenagers.
Yeah, shithead teenagers, that show up in their hoodies. Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Right. Or their fucking Zeke Elliott jersey saying they're a football player. That tactic. You get a lot of those too. But yeah, to answer your question, first come, first serve, but yes, I will still do the full-size bar. Okay,
the real question I was going to ask, though, and that's why I added the Good Family Man to this year's intro, is what are the kids going to be for Halloween? I'm always fascinated by what children are rocking these days, what they want to be, what they look up to, the shows they watch, all that sort of stuff. Is there a plan in place yet, or are we still working on the costumes for the two kids?
There's a plan. The girl changes her mind on a daily basis, so that's going to come down to the wire. 1 minute she wants to be a princess. The other minute she wants to be a pirate. She can't figure it out. Okay. The boy, he's all figured out. He's into the Toy Story. He's a big fan of the Toy Story.
Yeah. Okay.
He's going to be Woody.
Nice. All right.
Got his outfit. In fact, he wore it for 2 days. We couldn't take it off him.
That's great. That's awesome.
So he's walking around the house as Woody, and he's got the hat. He's carrying around the hat. He's going to bed dressed as Woody. I can't get him out of the thing, but there's your answer. He's going to be Woody. All right,
so it's Woody and then a pirate and or a princess. Is there a way you can Kairi Sane this and possibly combo the pirate princess? Is there a way?
She don't know nothing about the wrestling, but listen, she changes her mind every day. So I don't know what she can't make up her mind. But here let me see. Nah, never mind. I had an idea, but it'll be a bit that'll take way too long.
That's fine.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Maybe have her watch a little. I don't know what. I don't know what brand the Kabuki Warriors are on, but maybe show her some Kairi Sane and say, "Hey, is this?" Because that's a nice blend. You can wear the princess dress, but then still carry around the big wheel or whatever. You got the eye patch if she wants or whatever. Like, what kind of pirate is this? Like an old school pirate, or is this like, or does she not even know that? Are we not even? She
just randomly will say, "I want to be a pirate."
Got it.
Because she probably just watched a cartoon with a pirate on it. You know what I mean? So she's just changing her mind every 30 seconds. But yeah. So who knows? That, like I said, that one's going to come down to the wire. Aren't you going to ask me what I am going to be from?
Well, I was about to say. Now the real question is, what is the TLB going to be? I don't give a shit what you're going to be.
She says she's surprising me.
Ooh. She's
got a plan. But here's the thing: it's also going to turn into like a sex thing, right?
Sure. Well, that's the only reason I was asking, to be honest. But
right. So I'm not.
It's going to be. It's going to be a sexy that thing, and then
Yeah. So she's not telling me what it is because she wants to like make it a fucking thing one of these nights, where she's going to say, "All right, well, I'm going to go upstairs and get into the gimmick," and and it's then we're going to have some lands of action. But so I don't know yet. It's a surprise at this point. But I'll let you know, though, especially now that you have that visual
of you and your your undershirt, your bulging undershirt, and
that's
and
right.
Her as a sexy
as a
whatever. Yeah, who knows, a werewolf or something? God knows what she's
a werewolf.
I don't know. Well, what are you going to be? I guess I should ask that. I guess so.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I was going to say that's why I didn't ask. I knew you wouldn't. Like, what are you going to?
I'm not.
You're going to be Joe Lanza, godlike podcaster.
I'm not fucking
another year
taking,
again. Yeah,
I'm not walking around the neighborhood either. Look, someone's got to stay home and answer the door, right?
Oh, wow. Jeez, you can put a bowl out there if you want.
Put a bowl? You can't put the bowl. You get some smart ass comes by and takes all of it.
Now, I have a crisis here. So the nurse is working that night. So, and by the time I come home, like you said, the little kids are pretty much done by like 5. And I don't walk through the door until like 5:30, sometimes 6. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't want the kids to not get anything, the little kids. So what I might do is I might do the bowl gimmick for a little bit. And then when I come home, replace it with, myself at the door. Because, like, the little kids are usually with their parents or whatever. And if I put the bowl out there, I feel like they're not going to take a bunch. But, like, after 5 is when you get the like you said, the Mitch Trubisky jerseys or whatever. I got random idiots dressed in a Trubisky jersey, and I got a random guy that just shows up in a hoodie. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. But, like, I'm just going to eat the candy anyway, so I just give it to him, regardless. Like, those guys I want to be able to give the candy to. There's not that many that come anyway. It's not that big of a deal. But do you think I'm okay? Do you think I'm safe with the bowl gimmick until 5 or 6? Because I don't want to do the no gimmick. I don't want to just turn the lights off and then kids pass my house. Like, that kind of feels cold.
Listen, I'm not a fan of the bowl gimmick. And under any way, shape, or form, I think someone's going to come by and dump it all in the bag.
Yeah, it's risky. I don't know.
So I can't condone it.
Yeah, what if I put a take one sign on the bowl? Then that should definitely deter anybody from.
There's no. That's even making it worse. They're not only going to at that point mock you for your sign. They're going to take it all.
I would, and then egg my house,
your house
for sure. Yeah, I know. Put bags of pretzels in there or something like that. Some shitty candy that nobody likes. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure this out. I might just have to go no-go and people just can't, I just keep the lights out. I should just come home and keep the lights out the whole time. Then we can do the podcast that day or something. So
yeah, you got a couple examples of Woody on your
Oh, that's a good looking Woody. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. He won't take it off. See, those are 2 different days too. Like, he's just like, you could see the Rams game on in the background.
As you're like, get out of here, scram, kid.
You can see Sean McVay's elbow in the one picture there on the fucking big screen.
I'm looking at your bookshelf too, as well. I'm going to call you out for your books. Let's see here. Oh, Baseball Between the Numbers. Okay, all right. I got it right here. I'm looking at Baseball Between the Numbers on my bookshelf too. I'm trying to compare what I have.
There.
Yeah, what I have. The Bill Simmons Big Book of Basketball. I got that too. Got that one. Trying to compare and contrast. Oh, the Mankind book. All right, Foley is good too. That's good. All right.
Baseball Abstract.
I see the abstract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
few other things.
All the standards.
Yeah, every standard. Like, I'm a dude. Like, this is,
and
like, I read. And like, if people came over and they're like, "Oh, you have books? That's cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, look, like 45% of them are baseball prospectuses going back to 2004, and then the rest are just like basketball books and wrestling books." Like, yeah, I read, but they're all about wrestling, basketball, or baseball. So.
You're not going to rip TLB's Live, Laugh, Love.
I was going to let that slide. That's all
right. That's she probably bought that while holding a Starbucks cup.
Right. Right. I was going to let you slide on that one because I knew that you had no say in
no say whatsoever. None. Yeah.
Starter set. Yeah, the starter set. She's wearing
the starter set.
Flannel. Yeah, she's sipping a cold brew, a pumpkin spice cold brew.
Yeah. Starbucks cup, yoga pants, the whole 9, and the Live, Laugh, Love. Wouldn't have it any other way.
God. Yeah, hey, that's what they are, man. It's all good. All right, let's get into the actual wrestling stuff here this week. So for people that are going to wonder, we are not going to go super heavy into AEW and NXT. We are going to talk about it a little bit later in the show. But you just released a Thursday Tea Reviews on voicewrestling.com/Patreon or patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling that covers those extensively. So if you really, really want to get deep on those shows and ratings talk and all that sort of stuff, Thursday Tea Reviews, voicewrestling.com/Patreon, they're all on there. So we're gonna touch on it a little bit later in the show. But we've done it pretty heavy the last few weeks. So this week we're going to kind of go a little bit more with some other topics throughout the wrestling world. But again, we'll hit it a little bit. But if you want to hear an extensive review of those shows and everything that happened, the Thursday Tea Reviews will be the spot to do that at. But we're going to lead off the show with is news that came out earlier this week. So it's on the 21st here, is that New Japan officially announced New Japan of America and U.S. expansion details. They had a fantastic sideshow that represented the entire United States with East, South, Mid, Texas, and West. So that is where they're expanding to, is those 5 regions of the United States. Which I just love that like Texas is like, how do you feel about that? Your new adopted home state is an entire region in New Japan's American expansion.
fucking great. I mean, plus where I live, I'm like right in the middle. Like I'm a 2-hour drive from every major city. So, you know, they're going to run Dallas, Houston, probably Austin and San Antonio. I would guess those are going to be the 4, right? You know, and the shortest trip is
given that where this bubble is, El Paso, Texas. Unfortunately, I do not think you're going to get shows.
They're not going to run out in El Paso. So
Yeah.
you're talking about a 90-minute drive to Houston, and the longest one is a 3-hour drive to San Antonio. These are all regular drives for wrestling shows anyway. So tremendous that Texas is its own region. Do you think they understand that it's just one state, or do you think that like what was the thought process behind that?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't. I think they just saw big cities and saw big populations or whatnot. I'm not sure because like when I go other places, I have no I have no idea what like region I'm in or if it's a state or province or what. You know what I mean? Like it's just other than Canada, I know just because of wrestling as well. I know like Ontario and Calgary, Alberta, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know that like if any other place I go, I really recognize the state. So yeah, I'm not sure if they know the states. But as far as we can tell, we'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts of this actual launch here, but. What it looks like here, the West region, if these bubbles are to be believed, the West region, which has 6 cities / 4 states. So, okay, no, they do know the states because it does say / 4 states, whereas Texas just has 4 cities. West appears to be Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. That sort of region, which makes sense. Again, that sticks with what I would imagine. That
what are you guessing based on the dots on the map?
They have the little dots, and yeah, you can kind of see where they're going. And we'll go over what that really means here in a bit. Yeah, we'll talk about what the real drive behind this is, this U.S. expansion or whatever. The mid, quote unquote mid, 7 cities, 6 states, as far as I can tell. Probably Minneapolis, Chicago. I don't know if Milwaukee's counted in there. I imagine maybe. Looks like Detroit, Indianapolis, Kansas City is actually considered mid in this. So I don't know the exact 7 cities, but that general region is what we got here. And then East, of course, I think it says 4 cities, 3 states. I think we can pretty much assume it's going to be like Philadelphia, Boston, New York, and who am I missing there?
Philadelphia, Boston, New York. It says 4?
It says 4 cities, 3 states. Yeah, I'm probably missing some big Trenton, New Jersey, I'm sure.
Well, that'd be a 4th state, so that can't be it.
Right now.
Oh, Philly, New York.
I thought Philly is, I guess, I don't know, Pittsburgh, or I don't know.
We need a second city in another one of those states. There wouldn't be another one in Massachusetts.
It could be Washington, D.C., and they didn't know how to quite say
maybe
that or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Would they go out to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. Like the little dot shows like through Pittsburgh, but I don't know if that's actually what.
Oh, so there's one out in Western Pennsylvania.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty big. So maybe they would.
It's got to be Pittsburgh. It has to be.
And then Southeast, 6 cities, 4 states. The little dot shows Charlotte. It shows Nashville in there, Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami. So that I think would be your New Orleans is kind of in the middle of those, but I could see them possibly going there. But yeah, overall, I mean, what this means, though, is that they're going to launch operations. It says November of 2019. They're going to start operations with the New Japan Pro Wrestling of America. And yeah, it's interesting. It's got its own logo. It's got, the familiar line mark with the USA flag behind it. And yeah, offices are going in there. And we got some phases that we're going to get to in a sec. But like overall, big picture thoughts. What do you think about New Japan officially launching a subsidiary in America?
Well, I don't have a simplified thought. I think, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when they initially said they were going to start running the United States, we were down on the idea because we just didn't see a path to great success. And since that point in time, they've run a lot of one-off shows in California to varying degrees of success. No total bombs, but a couple shows that didn't do as well as they should because they kind of burnt out the market. Then you have the G1 show, which drew a little under 5,000 paid, but in such a big building, it looked like a failure. And we're told that it barely made money. And then you have, like the Super Junior swing. The Super J Cup swing, which were in very small theaters. And Dave and others have said that probably lost money. And then you have the recent swing on the East Coast with the 3 ROH buildings, which they filled all of them. So it's like, I wouldn't call their United States efforts a raging success, but I don't think they've failed. I don't think that's fair to say either. They don't think so either if they want to expand it. But my feelings are kind of the same as when we initially talked about this. 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, I'm not too bullish on it. But at the same time, I got to know what the plan is before I can assess it. Do they plan on running basketball arenas? Well, that's not going to work. Do they plan on running small 1,000-seat theaters or 300-seat theaters like they did for Super J? Well, it's going to be hard to make money on that. What they've proven they can do is run small to mid-sized buildings. They've proven they can do that. But it's like, and I look at it this way. If they do like these one-off shows and like the Pyramid in Long Beach, or they do this West Coast swing in the 3 small buildings, and they're either breaking even or losing money. One area I'm very familiar with, the nature of my job, is franchising. Okay. And what a lot of people do not understand about restaurant franchising is it's a volume game. Individual freestanding restaurants don't net a ton of money, and people don't get that. But when you're a franchise, when you own a and you own 150 of them, now you're making a lot of money, right? Because maybe, okay, if you own one Starbucks, or you own one McDonald's, or whatever the hell, one Pizza Hut, right? That freestanding unit might only be making, and this is going to get tied back into wrestling, I promise. That freestanding unit might only be netting you, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000 a year. You can't live on that, okay? But when you own 150 of them, and they're all making between, some of them are losing a little bit of money, but some of them are making $5,000 to $10,000 a year, and then you have some great ones that are making, $50,000 to $100,000. Okay, now you're in a real business,
right?
And now you're making a sustainable, now you're making a real income, and you're in a, so it's a volume. It's very few franchisers have 1 or 2 units. It's volume. You got to have as many as possible to make real money. So how I'm going to tie this into New Japan is maybe they're not making a ton of money running singular shows, flying their whole crew and all their shit over here for one show, or 1 to 3 shows. But maybe since they're doubling the amount of shows, okay, now when they come over here, if they're going to do between 3 to 6 shows every time they come here, okay, the small negligible profit they were making before becomes a decent profit because you're doubling the amount of shows you're doing. Is anything that I'm saying making sense?
No, absolutely. No, I get it. I get it for sure. Yeah, the idea that like doing this one-off, getting everybody over here, getting all the stadium, like getting everything set up, doing all the hard work just for one show is like, all right, cool. We're making a little bit of money off the one show, but if you're doing all those resources and you can double up on a weekend and run 3 shows in a weekend or 4 shows, and all the costs you're already paying for regardless, but now you're able to, double the amount of shows that you're running with those costs is essentially what you're.
Yeah. I mean, part of what I do for a living is to assess when and where to build another restaurant, right? Because it's always, we need more, because we can't make money unless we have more, right? So it's like, but then you have to figure out, you can't. So it's like this could be the same kind of deal for New Japan. Like, okay, we know we can draw, 1,000 to somewhere between 1,000 to 5,000 people in a lot of these markets, right? But we're not making any money coming over and doing 1 or 2 or 3 shows. So if we expand and we do 3 to 6 shows every time we come over, well, we're still only paying for 1 plane ticket for everybody, and we're still only bringing 1 ring, whatever. You know what I mean? Your costs are the same, or essentially the same for the sake of the argument, but you're doubling your income because you're simply running more shows. Now, listen, I'm not saying that's their plan. I'm just saying, with my own business cap on, that could be their plan. Their plan could be something outrageous, like running basketball arenas, and they're going to fail miserably because they don't have strong enough TV, and they haven't proven that they could fill a basketball arena, with the exception of Madison Square Garden, which was an outlier because it was WrestleMania weekend, and there's a very good chance that AEW drew that gate. So you have to throw that one out. It's probably the Bucks and Cody and Omega who drew that, or contributed to drawing that at minimum.
Right.
So when you throw that one out, the biggest crowd they've drawn was 6,600 paid in San Francisco, with Cody and Omega on top, or somewhere. I think it was 6,600. Someone's going to go, it was actually 6,200, but you get the idea. So if they're thinking about running bigger buildings, I don't think they can do that. Now, if they want to run Hammerstein and the ECW arena and get a discount in Dallas for Mark Cuban's building and keep running that one, okay. I am confident that they can put enough fans in those buildings where if you come over and you go to your southeast region and you go to all 6 of those cities, I think they can draw 1,500 people in all 6 of those cities and then double what they were grossing the last time they came, and then increasing your net as a result.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's kind of my read on it. And that's the only read that I can have until I know what their plan is. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And to me, it's all very hard to analyze without doing guesswork until I know what this means, what the expansion actually means.
Right. My first glance is that I think I don't know that I love it right now. I just think, especially this year, to join, this market, which is already getting very crowded, with AEW now rolling out, like 2 years ago, maybe would have been a better time to do this, but I get it. They wanted to get a foothold. They wanted to establish, they wanted to get context. They wanted to get all that sort of stuff. So I get why they're doing it now, but it just seems like this year particularly is going to be a tough one. It's going to be an uphill battle with a lot more, weekly wrestling shows now, making, because I do think that NXT will probably at some point in the next few months be on the road as well. So you got another show now that's on the road and traveling or whatnot. And Impact and ROH still exists, kind of. We'll talk about Impact a little bit later. And obviously, WWE is still running all this stuff. But if WWE reduces their house shows, then it is definitely pretty weird. But some of the stuff, and I think this sort of gives us a little bit of insight into what they're looking at. It actually kind of answers one of your questions as well, is so they mentioned that this was part of their third phase in expanding. Their phase 1 was the LA Dojo, which has been a success, I think, so far. They've developed some pretty good talent out of there so far. Phase 2 was run events in the U.S., including at MSG in Dallas this year. So they did that. And then phase 3 was establish a company. This is the exact quote from them. Quote, establish a company within the U.S. and be ingrained in the everyday fabric when it comes to fans, wrestling, consciousness. So they want to be ingrained in U.S. wrestling fans' consciousness, which, more power to them. It's an ambitious thing, but man, it's tough. It is a tough thing to do. I mean, there's just a lot of wrestling, a lot of live event stuff going on in this country right now. So there's, I could see that being an issue. But one thing that you sort of alluded to there, and this is about Takami, Obari, I believe is his name. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but Obari, I believe is the name. New Japan of America CEO says here, and this is exactly what you mentioned as well. Quote, we are currently running and looking at venues in the 2,000 seat range. That may be lower depending on circumstances. We are a live event company, and the first priority of a live event company is to run in more venues, which speaks to your point. Once people are in those venues, then we can fire them up and have them ready to spread the word to larger and larger audiences. First, though, it's about growing the number rather than the size of the venues. The long-term plan will absolutely be to run big venues on a regular basis. So what they say there is, initially, 2,000 seats and sometimes lower depending on the circumstances is what they're looking at. So does that make you feel a little bit better initially?
Well, it means that my instincts were good and they have the same kind of business plan that I just laid out, where it's just increase the number of small to mid-sized buildings that you're running. Now that they know that they can fill those sized venues. But here's the thing. I think a lot of the reason that they're able to fill those venues is because they come so infrequently that it's special. Right. It is a special attraction when they're in your town. Like I try not to miss them when they're here because like what else am I going to have any New Japan talent in my area? But that could become commonplace where they're there every 2 months or whatever. And then, if you're coming twice as often, inevitably it's going to be less special when you come around. So that's a new challenge they'll be facing. So they have to come hard with attractive shows that people really want to see. The more they increase the frequency that they're coming over. Here's the other thing to remember too. It's not like this is basically the size venues they run in Japan. I mean, how often does New Japan draw 5-figure attendances in Japan? It's not that often. Only for their very biggest shows. I mean, their very biggest shows. You're talking about Dominion. King of Pro Wrestling, I think, did under 10,000. Was it 98 something or whatever? So you'll get Dominion, you'll get the Dome, you'll get a couple of the Budokans, not even all three of them typically for G1. It's like, this is not a company that's running basketball-sized arenas in their own country. So it's like they're basically running 1,000 to 2,000 seat venues on their tours in Japan. So they're attempting to do that outside of their home market, which it's not going to be easy, especially when you're increasing the frequency. And, you know, none of this is going to be worth their time or effort if they're running, you know, sub 1,000 seat buildings. There's just no point. So it's still going to be a challenge, even though they're running the smaller venues.
And I think one of the other questions too that you know I saw a lot of people bring up, and I definitely bring up a little bit as well, is now, do these shows, do they operate as in Canon League? Are they separate? Does New Japan America have their own stories, their own sort of roster makeup, or is it just guys coming over and doing stuff for a certain tour? Is like, that's gonna be the dynamic that I'm not quite sure about. Like you said, we don't have all those details yet, and we probably won't know until we get a little bit closer. But I saw a lot of people being like, all right, look, like, you know, from one standpoint, I know I saw you push back on this a little bit on Twitter, is like, roster wise, people were wondering, oh man, like the roster is already like, you know, kind of stretched thin, and you really disagreed with that, and I kind of disagree with it too. I think that roster can absolutely sustain a second show, and stuff can be kind of split up pretty easily as well, as long as you time it correctly and know, okay, this guy's gonna be gone for this tour, or this guy's gone for these few months. But we see that anyway. It's just in the form a lot of times of tag matches, or in the form of, like, if it's a big tournament or a G1 or a Super Juniors League or whatever, we see that the heavyweights or the juniors or whoever, that's kind of their tour off, and that's a great time then for those people, if they wanted to go over and you know, work in America or whatever. So yeah, any sort of thoughts about, you know, what you know, if it's going to relate directly to New Japan in Japan, and a little bit about the roster as well. Do you have any concerns about, you know, stretching that roster a little too thin?
Well, the roster is bigger than people think. And it even surprised me when I was doing daily reviews for the G1 tour. It really struck me when I started thinking about who had that tour off, because they've done a much better job recently, last year or two, in cycling guys in and out of tours. It's not the same. You know, a few years ago, the early part of their expansion in Japan, they had a 30 to 35 man roster and everybody worked every show. They've slowly expanded and none of us have noticed. And they have this giant roster now. Rich, they have dojos on 3 different continents feeding them talent. You know, it's like, when did this happen? You know, it's like it all cropped up right underneath our nose. But the G1 tour alone, just using that tour as an example, and you could do this with any tour, but for the G1 tour alone, they had a little over 30 wrestlers off the tour. I mean, it's crazy, but it's like, you can run 2 tours at once easily with the roster they have right now. And I'm sure that they plan on expanding their roster if they're going to do this. I'm sure they're going to hire people. It looks like TJP is going to be part of the roster, you know, moving forward, at least on a part-time basis, moving, you know, at minimum. And I'm sure they have other people. And look, they've got other guys in that LA dojo who are going to come through. And they've got guys in, you know, training with the Wheelman, Tony Kazina and Fale, who are going to come through. And they're constantly pumping out young lions. And if they so desired, they could have run a tour at the same time as the G1 in America, not only with like 30 wrestlers, Rich, there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 6 champions at the time who were off and sitting home and doing nothing, who just weren't on the tour. 6 title holders. So it's a deeper roster than people think. These are the wrestlers who were not on the G1 tour. Okay? Sho, Yo, Kojima, Nagata, Nakanishi, Gorillas of Destiny, Hikuleo, Robbie Eagles, El Phantasmo, Taguchi, Tiger Mask, Taiji Ishimori, Mikey Nichols, Togi Makabe, Dukai, Dragon Lee, Rocky Romero, Alex Coughlin, Taka Michinoku, if you want to count him. Things have changed since then, of course.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Tenzan, and then there were some guys on the injured list, Desperado. There were guys on the injured list and on excursion, like Desperado and Finley, who are now back. Hiromu, who's still out. You had Oka and Kawato on excursion. And then you had like part-timer fringe kind of guys with your Gino Gambinos and your Jonathan Greshams, Gato and Jado, who were managers on the tour but didn't actually wrestle. And then your LA dojo guys like Barrett Brown and all those guys that haven't even worked a show yet. Barrett Brown might have worked a couple shows when they had the visa issues, actually. But you could see if they wanted to, they could have run an entire second tour. Now, are those names going to draw? I mean, it'd be a lot harder with that crew. But if they're just going to have the challenge of splitting up the big names. But they're not going to necessarily run these tours concurrent with each other either. They did that once with the New Beginning thing, that with the visa issues, right? That was at the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah. That ended up being not a great move, probably.
Well, it's just because the visas didn't work out. But all the American, like what they did was they put Juice Robinson and Lance Archer and I think Davey Boy Smith Jr. at the time, maybe. And a lot of their Western-based dudes worked that swing of 3 shows or 4 shows or whatever it was, instead of working New Beginning in Japan. So they've kind of even tested the waters with running 2 tours at the same time. They all got fucked up with the visas, and they had to fill it in with your Tracer X's and all the indie guys in each city. But as far as that goes, though, I don't think roster size is an issue. They have, and they cycle guys in and out. If you look at the tour right now, there's a bunch of dudes that aren't working that tour right now. The names constantly change, but there's always about 30 guys that are off the tour, especially if you throw in part-timers. Mm-hmm. So that part of it I'm not worried about. I do think they'll hire and they'll expand the roster. They'll have to. As far as working the rosters too thin, now look, all of this time off that they're giving people, cycling guys in and out, there's going to be less time that you're going to be cycled in because now...
That, to me, this is honestly the biggest thing, and I didn't see a lot of people talk about this, but one of the things that we talk about and credit New Japan for in a lot of ways is the health of a lot of the wrestlers, is that you get that time off, that, Tanahashi gets 2 months off or a month off in between, or even if he's doing stuff, it's tag matches, it's nothing, it's not traveling, it's not getting on a plane, it's, getting in a bus or whatever and driving an hour or so, and then you're to the town, and then you work, 5 minutes of a tag match and you're done. Like, that sort of stuff really helps these guys last until their 40s and still wrestle pretty well into their 40s, where we see American wrestlers where that's not the case. Like, those guys, their bodies break down largely because of the amount of work and the amount of travel. So this, to me, is the biggest thing, is like, okay, one of the things that you've touted as sort of a benefit right now is going to turn into, okay, that free time is now going to be spent getting on a plane, flying to America and working shows in America. I mean, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. So there's going to be inevitably, even if they add to the roster, less downtime, which again, like you said, is a big benefit. And I think helps keep the roster healthier and all those sorts of things too. So that is one of the major downsides, I think. But I think logistically, they have enough pieces to do it. Is your talent going to be happy flying back and forth over the Pacific Ocean twice as many times per year? Or is it the same amount of times and they're just doubling the amount of shows for each trip? See, these are all things that I don't have answers to yet.
Right, which would be, like, honestly, if that's, like you're saying, if that's sort of the plan, is that, hey, you guys fly over, but then you're here for 3 weeks or whatever, that's a lot easier to swallow. Then, okay, fly there, work a weekend of shows, and then come back, and then work our shows, then, okay, come back and work. Like, that's the big difference there, is the money saving to me. Like, if I'm running this, and if I'm in charge or whatever, I have Tanahashi or whatever, he's there for a month now. He is in America for a month, and we're running shows with him, and whatever that American crew is, quote unquote, that entire month. As much as we can, as frequently as we can in that time, versus, the back and forth is that's not cost effective either. That's just doubling your costs, which is not a good idea.
Which I don't think is the idea here. I really think the idea is, okay, we're doing Super Juniors in Japan. It's June or whatever. We can send, pick 5 big, Tanahashi, and maybe you keep Okada over there to support the Super Junior tour. So maybe Tanahashi and LIJ or something. And like you're saying, you fly them over, but what they're doing now is like sometimes running 1 show, right? Instead, now you fly these guys over and you keep them here a month. 1 weekend, a week and a half, they're working the Southeast swing. Then they get a week off. And then for the second week and a half, they're working the Texas swing. And then they fly home, right? See, that to me could end up, assuming you can still fill the buildings, because you have the challenge of making it feel special. If you can still fill the buildings, that seems cost effective to me. And at that point, I think you can make money. But I think at that point, the challenge is, how do you make these shows continue to feel special? I think at first they will, because it'll be the novelty of full-on authentic New Japan shows. I went to the G1 in Dallas, Rich. That was an authentic, full-on New Japan show, and it was really cool. And it was, there was nothing, you didn't have ROH involved. You didn't have, it was a full-on New Japan. So I think the novelty of that can carry them early. But it's when you come back to those cities the second time. Okay, now what are you offering me? I already went to a show or maybe more. Maybe I went to 2 or 3 of these shows on the swing. You're going to have to, the other thing is it's going to stretch out your booking because now you have to have big matches for these shows too. So you have to worry about drawing in Japan, which that should always be your priority.
Right.
You don't want to hurt your core business, but you have to have big matches and big angles, and you have to have things that draw for this second set of touring shows too, which again is difficult. Like you're saying, I'm sure it'll all be under the same canon, but maybe it's a scenario where they build up that U.S. title to what we thought it would eventually turn out to be anyway, where you're kind of building the tours around that. And build that title up to where that's a drawing title, but that's going to take some work, and I still think it's going to take some support early on before, somebody like Lance Archer is able to draw 2,000 fans on his own. So there's a lot of challenges here. I will say this. A lot of people have said that they've been too deliberate and they're moving too slow with everything. But now I kind of see why. They really were feeling their way around for the first 2 years or so.
Right. They didn't want to dive in and then have to, really pack up everything and run away. Because they could have done this 3 years ago and rolled this out big. And we're running MSG, we're running this arena, that arena, that arena. But then if it's a miserable failure, then you got to pack up and go back to Japan. And that's going to look real bad, to everybody.
Yeah. So, I kind of get why they were slow and deliberate about it. And they were calculated and they did their research and they were doing those fan surveys in Dallas. I didn't do one, but people were in line for that. And all they got, I think it was like a dopey sticker. I wouldn't have stood on that line if they were giving away. You got to give me more than a sticker.
Yeah, really? Just a sticker? Like, I don't even know if a t-shirt would really get me. I want a little, free tickets, something.
Exactly. Give me a break, but I don't know what they got. I think it was a sticker. I didn't pay too close attention, but, so look, they feel like I think the idea here is they probably knew they were either going to break even or take some small losses these first couple years doing this, but they really needed to feel out the market. What stage of the plan was using ROH until we figured out what buildings are good and then we dumped them on the side of the road? What stage is that?
that was phase 2.5 after MSG was okay, we're good now, thanks guys, bye
thank you for showing us what cities and buildings to run.
Now we know the booking agents' phone numbers and stuff. That is perfect, thank you so much. Fucking cucked ROH, man, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god, the
original wrestling cuck storyline was Ring of Honor for all these years between the Bucks and New Japan, and we knew it.
That's legitimately a cucking.
Right. Not what this.
What's going on Raw? I haven't ranted on this.
Please
yet.
do. Yeah, this is a great moment to do that. So
there is no cucking on Raw. Can we please stop saying that? I know people think it's funny. There is not a single cuck storyline going on Monday Night Raw. Okay, people have no idea what cucking is. These men on Raw are just being cheated on. These is not. If it was cucking, okay. I'll give you an example. When Lana and Rusev,
careful with example, by the
way. When Lana
hour
and
one,
Lashley,
it's hour one still. Well, I guess it's the start of hour 2. Go nuts, go crazy.
When Lana and Lashley are laying in a bed on Raw, getting it on, right, making out and all that. If Rusev was being cucked, he'd be in the ring licking his lips, enjoying it. He's not being cucked. Okay, he's being cheated. He's just being cheated on. Okay, can we stop someone banging Mike Kanellis' wife and getting her pregnant and Mike being mad about it? That is not being cucked.
Yes, you're getting cheated on. Yeah, right.
Yeah, being cucked would be, oh yeah, Montez Ford, get my wife pregnant. I'm into that.
Oh, work her over real good, buddy. Yeah,
and let me watch, and that would be another step. That would not only be cucking, but it would be like breed my wife, cuck her and breed her, like cuck me and breed my wife. That's not what's going on Raw. These men are just being fucking cheated on by their wives. So can we please stop saying now, New Japan and ROH, that is a cucking, okay? Because ROH is getting fucked over by New Japan and they're liking it. Read these Joe Koff quotes. He's like all just like
this
guy's
is great.
fucking,
yeah,
oh, this is fantastic. Yeah,
we're helping
glad we
each
can
other.
help.
I'm helping them. They're helping me. It's like, all right.
Yeah, we're glad we can help. Meanwhile, they're just like fucking ROH's wife behind her back, and Koff finds out, but he's like turned on by it. That he's being cucked. These people on Raw are not being cucked. It drives me nuts. I think people just like typing the word cuck. I think that's what it comes down to, because none of them know what it means. But anyway, that was a little cuck sidebar. But yeah, ROH, I mean, totally got used in this scenario. I mean, and you know, it's the last tour they ran 3 ROH buildings that ROH, by the way, cannot fill anymore. But New Japan waltzes in and fucking fills them. So, you know, and now they've got inroads, and they basically use the last 3-4 years, whatever it is, to come over here while ROH foots the bill. And, you know, they split half the gate, and they figured out how to do business in the United States. It's fucking amazing how that all played out. You gotta watch
we
that
told you
Tiger
3 years ago
Hattori.
this is exactly what was going to happen, by the way.
Yeah. You gotta watch that Tiger Hattori. He's slick.
So I think the big thing that comes through this too, you mentioned Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan, whatever relationship, that feels like those are as cold as possibly could be, because now New Japan is literally coming into the region and running shows against them. So the idea that maybe things will cool off a little bit, I think the Ring of Honor thing is pretty well done. I think New Japan doesn't need Ring of Honor anymore. I think if AEW wanted to approach, you know, New Japan about something, I still think New Japan would be open to it, but they're at a point now where they're directly competing. It's not like, hey, yeah, we'll bring some guys over, or you know, you can have Okada work AEW, and then you guys can take Omega in New Japan. Like, they're running in their market. They are direct competitors now. So I can't imagine that their relationship gets a lot better anytime soon. Do you agree or disagree?
I have a feeling it's dead already.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't do this if it's dead.
No, I mean, nobody came over for the Super Junior Tag League. The last time they used a ROH wrestler was probably Gresham for the Super J Cup, right?
Right. No Honor Rising shows this year, if I remember correctly, right?
I haven't heard any word of any Honor Rising shows, no. So, I mean, I don't think they would. I don't know if the schedule goes out. I mean, they announced Fantasticomania for January. I don't know if the schedule on the site goes out to February yet with the New Beginning tour, but so I don't know. But I haven't heard any talk of it. So, you know, we'll see with the tag league, where usually the heavyweight tag league, you got to fill that fucker. You know, if there's no like Villain Enterprises or anything, then that's another sign. So I think they're done with ROH. What purpose does ROH serve them?
Right, there's nothing anymore between ROH. Like, I think we can pretty much just consider that that was, and we said it, you know, months ago, that it was the breakup where there's not a big fight. There's not a, hey, take all your shit and get out of here fight. It's just, they just stop talking to each other. You know what I mean? The texts get kind of cold.
You've been saying that for years. Rich, here's the bottom line. We're pretty good at this. This is why people listen to this show. We're good at the audio, Rich.
we're pretty smart, yeah.
Okay, we know what we're doing here. Okay, this is why this show's good and has lasted this long. But because we know what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, and who, if you're New Japan, like, who is even of any value to you in Ring of Honor?
Oh, they have
now?
Nothing. They offer nothing to New Japan. There is zero benefit anymore to New Japan. I mean, the original benefit was, the Ring of Honor benefit was obvious. Is, hey, you know, give us Tanahashi, Okada, and Naito or whatever. We'll sell out these buildings all across the country or whatever. Yeah, that was obvious. And to New Japan, the benefit was, hey, our talent is, you know, getting over in America, and we're selling merch, and we're going to these shows and doing that sort of stuff. And then, hey, yeah, you're bringing some talent over to us. You're bringing your Jay Lethal types. Your Martys are coming in. You're even, you know, connections to like Will Ospreay, you know, largely, you know, were helped out by, you know, the Ring of Honor connection. Because yes, remember, he was signed by Ring of Honor. They just never, you know, used him, which is a common trend that they do these days. Yeah, but I don't know if he
was ever signed. Was he? Yeah, he was.
No, he was legit signed and then like barely used, which is just baffling. Correct. And this was not like 10 years ago. It was like 3 years ago with Will Ospreay. Like, he was good. Everybody knew he was good, and they just didn't do shit with him.
Remember? Yeah, they started him off on the on that one UK tour. Remember?
Yeah, oh yeah, and he was a megastar.
Yeah, and then it just fizzled. You're right.
Just forgot to use him.
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
But like, that was sort of the benefit there is, some of the talent, the Briscoes were coming over. They were filling tag leagues. There's some G1s that were, given some extra boosts by the Ring of Honor talent. But yeah, flash forward to 2019. I mean, there's nobody on that roster that would help New Japan for anything. There's not one guy on that roster that I think Marty maybe with the lone exception.
Just Marty. Yeah.
Just like if Marty came for, like you said, World Tag League. If you wanted to get Marty and Brody over for the World Tag League, okay, yeah, that's your one benefit. But they don't need to. There's no point in bringing a Naito over to be on a Ring of Honor show because fuck it, you run your own shows, and we've seen that. So there's no, the ROH New Japan thing is just fucking dead. But the AEW thing is still interesting. Is does that ever get warmer, or is it still kind of as cold as it's been? Because this can't help. Hey, we're now going to run in your backyard. That can't be a positive for that relationship, right?
No, this tells me that this explains a lot of why that relationship is still ice cold. Because New Japan was planning on doing this, and they probably don't want to be in a partnership with AEW as much as it's like, because the AEW is their competition over here. So it explained a lot to me. One of the first things I thought about was, okay, these two are never, I thought they would eventually get together. I don't think they're going to. And I think eventually when it comes for contract renewals and things, I think Khan is going to basically put his foot down and say, no more of these little, you can work New Japan when you want things either. I know he's stopping them from working in New Japan in America, but I mean, it's like they're competitors now. So, I can't see them coming together. Before all this was announced, I was saying, look, I think eventually they will come together for the good of everyone. I can't see that at all happening now. I think that's out the window. There's no what. It's like, why should New Japan, what's in it for them to do business with AEW? I don't understand. Like, what do they owe AEW?
Right. Maybe just wanting to bring Kenny over for shows is about what I could assume would be.
But they're getting that without giving AEW anything.
Right. For now.
Because Kenny got that. Because Kenny and Moxley and Jericho, those are the three. Because AEW hadn't started yet, they had all that leverage. And they were able to get that out for themselves. And New Japan hasn't even used Kenny. Right? They're using Moxley and they're going to use Jericho. Right? They haven't even bothered using Kenny, even though Kenny has that out. Because I think New Japan's whole thing is, okay, Kenny, you made your choice, but now you have to live with that choice. And we don't need you. They're sending him a message.
Right. They're saying, you're irrelevant to us. We don't need you. Yeah, is kind of the important thing. Like, I'm sure, like, somewhere down the line, they will welcome him back. But I think right now it's kind of this tough love of like, all right, cool. You want to get out and move out on your own? Like, cool. Like, a kid that moves out and then now begs his parents to, help him with the rent. It's like, no, man, you made that choice. Like, you wanted to go do and that's fine. Like, I'm sure Kenny is happy as well, but like, you can't play both ends. And that's what kind of New Japan is saying. Hey, look, you pick them and that's fine, but you pick them. So go, with them. Is kind of the important thing there. Yeah.
So maybe when these contracts come up next time, Tony Khan will be in a stronger position and they might have a little less leverage and he can say, no, listen, you need to be exclusive. So, I'm just speculating and who knows? I mean, AEW could fold in a year. I don't know. But yeah, I don't, I think New Japan is just viewing them as just another company that, that is a competitor over here and is irrelevant to them in Japan.
Absolutely. All right, so that is the New Japan in America. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get more details. But yeah, they're launching November 2019 apparently. So we'll see how that all goes.
Come to that Texas region. Let's
Texas
go.
Region, man. 4 cities, 1 state, baby. Look at that.
Fuck yeah! I'll go to every one.
Yeah, that's no fair. Like I'm a part of the mid, which is fine. But like, yeah, you're 2 hours away from all the cities that they're running in the Texas region. That's bullshit. Yeah.
Fantastic. And as a fan, does it really matter to you if they're like breaking even on this thing?
No, who fucking cares? I don't care.
It's awesome that they're coming over.
Right, yeah, I don't care.
So,
I just hope it doesn't affect, like you said. I hope it doesn't affect the Japanese business, and it's I guess it probably will not. And one thing that we heard from a lot of people is that because I'm not as familiar with Japanese business or whatever, but what we heard from a lot of people is there's there's a certain aura about, oh, you're running a subsidiary in America. I mean, we saw it a lot. I mean, I know from video games, Sega of America, Nintendo of America. Like, it's a big deal to have a subsidiary in America. And we saw that the stock prices and financials already were up for New Japan or Bushiroad rather, just by saying that they had New Japan in America. So there's a certain vibe about it too. So even if it does break even, there's that weird little sort of ego trip that comes with, oh yeah, we have a subsidiary all the way out in America. You know, there's a weird thing about that too that we, you know, probably aren't privy to as much if, you know, when we're not aware about, you know, Japanese business.
Cultural thing.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, the other thing too is, you know, with Bushiroad purchasing Stardom, okay, and Stardom being very popular in the West. I shouldn't say very. I mean, in relatively speaking, popular in the West. I mean, that's a little boost too. I mean, it is all under the same umbrella. So, you know, if they wanted to run New Japan shows in the U.S. featuring Stardom,
yeah, and I
right,
almost think that's an inevitable. I think that's an inevitable. I think maybe the Japan will keep it separate, but I see the America almost inevitable that Stardom and New Japan run shows together.
Yeah, you get 3 or 4 Stardom matches, and, you know, 4 or 5 New Japan matches, and maybe, you know, co-main event, or, you know, whatever. You know, it's like, you know, that could be something new and different. Like we're talking about, you're going to need new hooks and new things to draw every time you come. So that could be one of those things. And we saw Stardom did very well WrestleMania weekend and sold out their show. So it's like, you know, and again, that's a special. I get it. It's WrestleMania weekend, and everyone's in town and everything. But, you know, I think in the right cities, if Stardom came over, you know, every now and then, they could maybe draw between 500 and 1,000 fans in certain cities, maybe first time as a novelty. So, I mean, you add them to these shows, you know, you're going to draw from a different pocket of fans that might not have went otherwise. So there's that to consider too.
All right, so let's move on to, while we're sticking with New Japan here, the Super Junior Tag Tournament, just a little check-in here, that's ending November 1st on the Power Struggle show. November 3rd is when we'll get the finals of the tournament. But so far, the current standings, as they are as of this recording, recording this on a Thursday here, Taguchi and Romero, 6 points. Ishimura and Phantasmo also tied at the top with 6 points. Desperado and Kanemaru at 4 points. Volador and Teton at 4. Sho and Yo at 4. Osprey and Eagles at 2. And then in dead last with 0, Tiger Mask and Uemura, and TJP and Clark Connors also at 0 as well. So, Joe, you've had a chance to watch a good... pretty big majority of the matches on this tour so far. What have kind of stood out to you? What teams have really stood out? What's sort of the highlights so far that you can let people know about the tour if they've maybe been sleeping on it or not watching?
Well, I saw the first 2 Korikens, and I saw the first like single cam show where it's like only the tournament matches or whatever. So I saw the first 3 nights of the tour. So I can only speak to that. But through the first 3 nights, I mean, it's better tour than it was last year, match quality wise. That is for sure. Last year, everything was like aggressively fine. You know, 3 1/4 every single match. You know, good matches, but you didn't really need to watch every night because you were seeing the same show every night. This has been much better. I mean, you know, there's some legitimate notebook matches on this tour. Any match that you see on paper that looks good to you is worth spending your time on. Is basically what I'm getting at. Like, if you're looking at it and saying, "Oh wow, you know, Cork and Hall, this Phantasmo and Ishimori versus Birds of Prey match, it looks good." You know, go watch it because everything that looks good on paper has delivered. And even, you know, the Young Lion teams, you know, Tiger Mask with Uemura, they've had some excellent matches. And TJP, I mean, this guy, my God, he has been so good on this tour. He's back in shape. Remember how he got out of shape at the end of the 205 Live run where it was very obvious he didn't care?
Oh, yeah. The new tattoo, the goatee, and the gut. Yeah, that was the Please Fire Me starter kit.
He is
showing up to work with sneezing all over Vince McMahon, just doing whatever he could to get fired. Hey, I got a new tattoo without telling anybody. Hey, I'm getting a little chubby, but I'm going to wear the same ring gear so the fat hangs over. And oh, yeah. Like, that was the starter set of Please fucking fire me, please.
And he got fired, and he is just chiseled. He's in tremendous shape, and his work has just been so good. I still haven't watched Super J Cup. I'm probably going to watch it in December when I'm frantically watching all the shit I haven't watched. So I can't speak to his work there. But, you know, I've watched some indie matches with this guy. since he's been released, and I watched this tour, and they are nuts if they don't start using him full time. I mean, he is so good. He is right now between that and a couple indie matches. I reviewed one behind the paywall. He wrestled Damian Slater in Australia. Damian Slater was in Cruiserweight Classic, people might remember, and it's just a 4.5 star match. I mean, it's and TJP was off the charts incredible in that match against Damian Slater. Like, his performance was one of the 5 best individual wrestling performances I've seen this year in that match.
Wow. So I'm going to have to check that one out for sure. I was planning on it this weekend, but yeah, I'll have to make it a mission to go check that one out.
It's on YouTube for free. Rich, okay. There's no way you don't like that match. And his performance in particular. I mean, he can go down there to Australia with this match against Damian Slater and just show up and put it in cruise control. I mean, everything from his facial expressions to his mannerisms to the story that they told in the ring to his grappling early in the match, his selling, just an incredible performance. And he's been great on this tour, teaming with Clark Connors. And I mean, I've got Ishimori and Phantasmo against Birds of Prey at 4.25. Volador and Teton. Rich, I got to apologize to Volador. I've been burying this guy on every piece of audio we do for coming to Japan and not putting in an effort. He's been great.
I've heard that. I've heard that it's actually reversed, that now he doesn't give a shit about CMLL and is putting some effort in New Japan. So I'm excited to see that, because I always see that guy and I'm always like, fuck yeah, Volador Jr., let's go. So I'm actually going to have to start catching up on some of these matches and seeing him, because I usually he became an instant skip the last few years because, he wasn't really putting effort in. But man, I'm excited. I'm excited if he's good.
Those guys versus Birds of Prey was great. I mean, I think that's one of the single cams. But everything on the Corkins was very good. I haven't seen one match in this tournament that I was like, I wish I didn't watch that. I mean, they've all delivered. It's, and I know a lot of people blow this tour off, but I'm not saying you need to go back and watch every match. But I would, if you pick the teams that you like and just watch their matches, you're not going to come away disappointed. I mean, the effort's been excellent, and I'm all in. I'm going to watch all of it. Just because, and I'm kind of a completist, but definitely over-delivering a tour that a lot of people thought wouldn't deliver. Because last year was just a little disappointing.
Yeah, well, I think last year, you did daily audio, I believe, for last year.
I
think your biggest complaint was that just every match was like the same. Like, no matter what, like, every guy was wrestling the exact same every single night, and every team was wrestling exactly the same every night, and the matches were getting, you'd have a different team, but like every team felt exactly the same. Like, they were hitting all the same notes and all the same moves and everything kind of in sequence. And so that's not happening this year, then, you're saying? People are...
No, I was reviewing the same show every night, and the only intriguing thing about last year was watching Shingo get in the ring with first-time opponents every night. That was fun. This year, the matches they're just really fucking good. I mean, it's not the same dynamic at all.
Good. Well, that's reassuring there. So, as we said, there's still a bunch left to go in the junior tournament. We have November 1st. It's going to be the final night of it, and then the finals we're going to find out November 3rd at Power Struggle. Any read on who you think is going to merge? Like I said, right now, Taguchi and Romero and Ishimori and Phantasmo tied at the top. I got to imagine Birds of Prey probably get involved in that some way, but again, you don't really want them to maybe win that because you want to keep them, presumably Will Ospreay hopefully is doing something more important than a junior tag match at Dome, but do you see those guys maybe rising up and getting into the finals? Do you have any read for who's going to win this thing?
Well, here's the thing. In a normal year, I'd say forget about Birds of Prey because Will Ospreay is going to be defending.
But you got 2 nights. You got 2 nights, right?
2 nights, so everything's out the window. But the other problem here is Birds of Prey have already had 4 matches this year with Phantasmo and Ishimori, counting the match they had in Cork and to kick off the tour. How many more times can they do that match? So, especially if you do it again as the final, that'll be the 5th match. And then what do you get? Birds of Prey win and then do a 6th match at the Dome?
That seems a little excessive. Even for New Japan this year, that seems a little excessive. So
New Japan usually caps it at 4. I mean, here's what New Japan does. You usually get a 3-match series, and then sometimes they go crazy and give you a 4. When have you seen a 5 or a 6? I mean, in 1 year. That's even excessive for them, like you're saying. So I don't think that'll be the case, but then who are you left with? So it's not going to be like Rocky and Taguchi, you wouldn't think. You have the 2 Young Lion teams, you could throw them out. You could throw out the CMLL team. So you're looking at the list. I mean, who does that leave you with?
Yeah, I mean, so you got Taguchi and Romero, which I guess.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Ishimori and Phantasmo, I suppose.
Well, they're the champs. What sense would it make?
Exactly. There's no reason for that. And Sho and Yo, I mean, that makes sense probably again, but that's kind of boring, right? Isn't that a boring pick? I mean,
it's boring as shit, but there's your winner.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're gonna get Phantasmo and Ishimori defending against Sho and Yo at the Dome, at least on one of the shows. And I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It really does. And then that frees up Will Ospreay to, defend the junior title against, whoever. It could be Hiromu, of course, is always on the table.
I'm not doing the Hiromu anymore. I'm done predicting
I understand. I get it. But you got to concede he's one of the possibilities. I know you don't want to. Do you think Liger might have to be a possibility? Right? I mean, Liger keeps saying he wants to wrestle somebody he's never wrestled before, though. So that's kind of why I threw it out. Why not Robbie Eagles? I mean, maybe, or
Liger already has it. Am I correct in that old man tag teams? Is that just the one night, or is that both nights now?
No. Okay, so one of his matches is announced. That's the 8-man with all his pals.
Got it. Okay. So that's only one of the two. Then that wasn't both nights that he's going to be involved with those guys.
It's
got it. Okay,
the 8-man tag with pals and rivals, and then the second night is a singles match. And he's saying he wants it to be someone he's never wrestled before. Could be just something he's saying. Who knows? And then remember, New Year Dash is in that OTA, that 3,000 seat.
Right. Oh, they expanded that this year. Right.
So they're getting that out of Corkin. That's going to be in that 3,000 seater, and that's going to be his retirement ceremony. His last match is the 5th, and then the ceremony is on the 6th. I gotta take the week off of work. How are we going to cover all this shit?
I have no idea.
That's a lot going on. And
yes.
that, and then you have all of the first week of January, All Japan, Noah, they all run too.
Right. And it's also like Christmas and New Year's. It's literally the busiest time of the year for my job too, which is great. Yeah. The ebook will be out that time too. So yeah, I'm just going to kill myself now. So, don't have to get involved in that again. I think we'll get ahead of the game on the ebook this year for sure because of all the shit that's going on. But, I say that and then you'll be giving me your stuff in, January 2nd at 11:59 p.m. after I'm like, Joe, please, I'm begging you, please get this to me.
Do you know how much I hate the end of the year with the book and the fucking match of the year and
a match of the year. God damn it.
So stressful.
I quit. This is stupid.
God damn it. Everyone subscribe, please.
Yes. Because if I didn't have a job, this would be a lot easier. VoiceOfWrestling.com/Patreon. I would love the end of the year if I didn't have a job. So
if everyone listening to this subscribed, I promise you I wouldn't go to work. And I would do this every day. Rich, you know the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Do that on your little fucking calculator. I can live on that. Oh, I'm going to do it again just because I like doing it. I'll even go low. Let's see. Oh, fuck yeah. You give me that per month?
Yeah, for sure.
You give me that per month? Oh, come on now.
Without punching a clock, for sure, yeah.
That's 6 figures. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's slightly less than what I make right now. My 9 to 5. Right? It'd be a pay cut, but I'll take it.
So, I mean, and then I'll write fucking 3 books a year, But, what were we talking about here? Yeah, so Liger, so Ospreay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's they don't have the depth of their junior division they had a year ago because Hiromu's still out and Dragon Lee is up in the air. Those are huge. And Kushida's gone. So those are 3 big losses. They got to build up, guys. Look, Will Ospreay's going to go heavyweight and Robbie Eagles is going to be a big-time junior. I think there's no question about it. That's all of this Robbie Eagles, Will Ospreay stuff is designed to slowly get Robbie Eagles over as the Chaos Junior.
Right.
But the Dome is too soon for that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, they're going to play the long game with him, and then rightfully so. Like, get him to where, and that's how they're very similar to the America stuff. They're very calculated with how they push guys. So yeah, that's going to be a while till that's.
How good has Eagles been since a kind of a shaky start? I mean,
I love it. Yeah, it's great. I love seeing that. I love seeing a guy struggle and not give up. Because he could have easily just said, fuck it, this is not going to work, or I don't feel comfortable here, or whatever. And he just kept going and going and going, and now he's just a star. He's just a made man. And credit to everybody involved in that, too. Credit to guys like Will Ospreay. Credit to anybody that has really gone out there and made him. And Phantasmo, you can give him credit as well. Like, and I don't think Will gets enough credit for that as well, is his ability to try his goddamn hardest to get everybody over that he's in the ring with, like, and never loses anything from himself either. That's an art. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, we say it all the time. Like, he probably wants to lose every single match that he wrestles, and they're like, no, Will, you're gonna win this match, man. You gotta win this. But if it was up to him, he'd go wrestle some dude, in front of 200 people in Australia and lose and put the guy over and do all that. But it never affects him, and he's done that. He's done that. Robbie Eagles is a perfect example of that. Is he's done that sort of stuff, and it never ever hurts him. He just keeps growing while all the other people start growing around him too, which is fantastic. Like, he's kind of cultivated this own little junior division in the light of Kushida no longer being around and Hiromu's injury and that sort of stuff. Is a lot of the guys now are like, Ospreay adjacent people that have been largely propped up by Will Ospreay. So I mean, he does not get enough credit for how great he is at doing that, of getting guys over while also not losing any of his steam as well in the process.
And from a storyline perspective, it's never been more interesting. Because the juniors have always been, okay, these are the two guys feuding for the title, and they're going to have 3 matches against each other. And then one guy's going to come away with the belt, and then he's going to feud with someone for 3 matches. And it's kind of been rinse repeat. And Kushida always in the mix. But this whole thing with Eagles and ELP and Ishimori is just so interesting, and it's had so many steps to the story. And but yeah, it's like there's no clear dome match for him the more I think about it. If Hiromu doesn't come back, Hiromu's the obvious one if he comes back. But again, it's almost November, Rich. And it's like, if he's coming back, they need to hurry up.
Right, and that's why I'm done even like predicting it or thinking about it or whatever. When he comes back, it'll be great and it'll be a surprise for me, but I'm done being like, that's probably Hiromu. Like, I've done that for a year now at this point, so I'm done. Yeah.
So then it's like, where else do you turn? Is Desperado a big enough match?
Nah.
It's probably not going to be Liger. Can you heat up a Robbie Eagles or TJP fast enough to get them over at that level where they're going to be 3rd or 4th from the top on one of those 2 shows? These are all major questions that don't seem like firm, that's got to be it. I don't know, unless I'm forgetting someone obvious. If El Phantasmo's wrapped up in defending the tag title, you throw him out the window. Ishimori, same thing. But again, 2 shows. It's a really good question. And maybe we're missing someone obvious and people are screaming at their devices, but I don't think we are.
All right, so that is New Japan. Let's move on to some other stuff here across the wrestling world. Let's go to Impact Wrestling, Joe. The Impact on Access era is beginning. I believe it began this week. It was just a clip show, though, if I remember correctly, this week. But they're now on Access, Joe. A new era. They are, quote, hard to kill, and their next pay-per-view is going to be called Hard to Kill. But in terms of this, we're going to talk about Bound for Glory, the pay-per-view from Sunday, October 22nd. Villa Park, my backyard, the Odeum Expo Center. Unfortunately, I double booked myself, so I wasn't able to go to the show, but I was able to watch all of the show, which was pretty fun. What do you think overall of Bound for Glory before we kind of go match by match here?
Worst pay-per-view of the Don Callis, Scott D'Amore regime.
See, now when you say worse, did you like it though still, or did you think it was bad?
Nah, I thought it was a slightly below average show that I cannot say I enjoyed pound for pound. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I didn't finish watching this show thinking, I enjoyed myself. I finished watching this show thinking, I did not. I kind of wasted 3 hours.
Oh, see, so I came away not loving it. Like, last year's Slammiversary was like my show of the year. Like, that was a great, and then like pretty much all the Callis era pay-per-views have been like remarkably good, like shockingly great. This one I came away with going, okay, this is fine. This was an okay show, an okay pay-per-view. I didn't hate it maybe as much as you did, but I certainly didn't I didn't have that same sort of vibe. Like, after those other shows, I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to talk about this. Like, God, Slammiversary, I went on live and like we did a thing, and there was even like the homecoming show and all that. There was a bunch of really, really good stuff. The last year's Bound for Glory in Toronto was awesome as well. So there's been, all these pay-per-views have been really, really good. This wasn't that, but I didn't think it was bad. I didn't feel like I wasted 3 hours. I just ultimately felt like it was, I don't know. It just was fine. Like, when it was done, I was like, all right, yeah, it's done. And then I just kind of I clicked out, and then I probably didn't think about it until now. We're talking about it right now. So that's from that standpoint. I mean, it's not like
kind of where I'm at. I mean, we're kind of in the same place. But there was really only 2 matches here that I liked. And when you have let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was it 7 match or was it?
It was 7. Yeah, 2 darks, but 7 pay-per-view matches.
Yeah, so it's like you got to give me more than 2 matches that I enjoyed. The rest I just didn't like. So I didn't think anything was like horrendous. But yeah, but I think pretty easily the worst pay-per-view of the Callous the Moore regime.
For sure. No, definitely. And I was pretty disappointed that the one match, so like one of the matches I was really anticipating, I guess if I would have went live, I would have been able to see it, but the Rascals versus Wagner Jr., Aerostar, and Taurus was a dark match, unfortunately. I was like, fuck. But in its place, Joe, we got the opener here, which I wanted to start off with, a 30-minute Bound for Gold Gauntlet match. The winner can choose a championship match of their choice, basically a Royal Rumble-style match here. Eddie Edwards winning by last eliminating Malabala Shira. This fucking stunk. This was 30 minutes. I really could, like, the novelty of it being who's going to come out next? Oh, it's a battle royal, wore off within like 10 minutes. And this fucking thing just kept going and going and going. And I cannot believe 30 minutes was devoted to this at the beginning of the show. This really dragged the show down from the start.
This was way too gimmicky. It was a clown show. There was too much of like, ha ha ha, I can't believe this guy's in this thing. It's like Hornswoggle and all these old ECW guys, and every time they bring out a woman, the announcer's going crazy that there's a woman in the match. And
which, like, it lost its appeal when there was like 6 women in the match. I'm like, all right, it's not that big of a deal that Jordan Grace is in. There's like 4 other women in the ring. Like, we get it. Like, there are a lot of women in this match. Like,
I can tell you, Rich, that as you know, I did the Impact media call today. I say today that they were recording. And we're going to put that up behind the paywall. Some of my thoughts on the media call and then the entire media call itself, we're going to put that behind the paywall at some point, probably by the time a lot of people hear this. I was on that media call, and I could tell you just listening to Scott D'Amore, because he got asked a million questions about intergender, including by me, that they are fully committed to this. This is an intergender promotion moving forward. I mean, they talked about how the titles are to be contested by anyone on the roster at any time. And D'Amore was saying, he must have said 4 different times on the call, this is 2019. This is anyone can wrestle anyone. I don't understand how people are still debating this topic anymore. He must have said that a half a dozen times. So this is something with the intergender that they're leaning into heavily. He also noted that in order for Impact to stand out, they're going to have to do things like intergender that other places aren't doing. I don't like intergender wrestling. And for me personally, like with Beyond Wrestling and Impact and some of the other companies that heavily emphasize it, it's kind of a turnoff for me, and it makes me not want to watch those companies. But I don't disagree with his philosophy. I do think Impact needs stuff like that to try to help make them different.
Right. They need to differentiate themselves from the market. And if WWE is going to shy away from it, and AEW, per the mouth of Tony Khan, is going to shy away from it, then yeah, maybe that's sort of a hook they need. And that's, like, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, again, like, I'm not a huge fan of it, and it's going to be kind of a turnoff for me for some of the stuff that they do, just because, I don't know, I just don't really, we've had that show many times. Go back and listen 3 years ago, go back and listen 4 years. We talked about it enough, but to me, I'm fine with it if you're going to do it, but then don't make it, oh my God, Jordan Grace is in this match. Like, then just do it. Just have Jordan Grace come out. But this match, like you said, every new woman that came out was like, oh my God, she's in this match? And it's like, well, okay, if it's going to be that, if those walls are broken down, then we don't need to have that sort of rigmarole every single fucking time of, oh my God, I can't believe Tessa Blanchard's wrestling men. This is unbelievable. Like, just do it then. You know, and there's still that tinge of it. So I don't know if that's one, hand not talking to the other, or maybe they're going to drop that now that it's become sort of a thing that th're going to really hone in on. But yeah, you don't need to do the, oh my God, it's unbelievable, she's in this match. Like, you don't need that anymore. So
why do you have a Knockouts title then? I mean, I had a chance to ask him, I guess, but I just thought of it now. Just get rid of that. I mean, if you're going to do it, have some guts and do it, right?
For sure.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, I would have, if this was their plan, I would have, gotten the wheels in motion for Tessa. And as we're recording this, rumors are going on that she might be done with Impact.
Which would explain why she lost the X Division match.
Right.
But the other thing is, like, someone did ask. Well, I asked him straight up if there were people on the roster uncomfortable with it, and he kind of blew it off. But then someone asked him later, and he admitted, he said, there are women on the roster who don't want to do it, and we don't pressure them, and we respect it. So, and Rich, we've had that conversation privately with people a million times. The women who don't want to do intergender, you're never going to hear them say it publicly, because they don't want to bury themselves. They don't want to. They want to be quote unquote one of the boys. They don't want to drag down. They don't want to be part of a controversy. There's a lot of women's wrestlers who don't want to do intergender.
Right. Or we've heard from some that feel pressured into doing it and don't really want to do it, but feel like they are at their point in their careers where they can't say, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want to face, him or whatever, and just do it anyway because they feel they have to. And that's kind of shitty too. So
that's real shitty. But he said that there's straight up people who you'll hear it when you listen, and they don't, and they respect that. So maybe that's why you keep the Knockouts title around or whatever.
Right.
But so, I get it. But that, they're going to, and here's the other thing, being that the network they're on is the same, Anthem owns the network, End owns Impact, and they're not beholden as much to sponsors as these other companies. The network is the same company. So there's less pressure, outside pressure, not to do intergender. So they're almost perfectly positioned to do it, because they're never going to get guff from their network. They're never going to get guff from like sponsors, because there aren't even commercials on Access, really, right? Because they don't sell commercials on that network. So who's going to tell them not to do it? So they are perfectly positioned to fill that intergender niche on a major league basis. So I don't even disagree with the strategy, even if I'm not a huge fan of it and it does nothing for me. And as we'll get to when we talk about Tessa, I've yet to see any business benefit to it. But yes, this Battle Royal stunk. It was a wannabe Royal Rumble that came off like a second-rate clown show. And the whole problem here is it determined the title shot. And I hate that. If you want to do this as a silly like opener or pre-show match where it's just all of your jobbers and you want to do some comedy and you want to get Sabu and Hornswoggle in there, whatever. It is what it is. But this is, in theory, an important match.
Right, and I got Tommy Dreamer and Hornswoggle biting people's asses and Joey Ryan sticking his dick in people's faces and stuff, which is fine. Like, again, if it's going to be, hey, this is our Geek Battle Royal that's starting off the show, but no, it's like the winner of this can choose any title that they want, and then, like, it's just a parade of clowns coming in the ring. Yeah, it kind of hurts it.
It's the same problem I had with the Double or Nothing Battle Royal, right? That determined someone who was going to their world title match.
Right, yeah. Presumably the biggest match in the company's history was determined by, a Battle Royal that was 95% geeks. So
why do you have all these indie geeks in it? It doesn't, same deal here. So that's the problem I have with this. Yeah, this was absolute utter shit.
Yeah, it went way too long too. Yeah, 15 minutes.
How about what do you think of Mahabali Shira, monster heel?
I couldn't believe it. So I haven't watched Impact in a while. Yeah. So they said, "Oh, that's Shira," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And he's gonna come in, and he just comes in, and he's just like fucking taking heads off, and I'm like, "Whoa, holy shit!" Like, this is not the Shira that I remember. I kind of like it. I mean, he's bad, but I don't know. I kind of like. He's a big beefcake and he's a big fucking house, so I kind of like this idea of Malabal Shira, like guy who takes dudes' heads off and is just a big badass. I like it. It's different. It's not the Shira shuffle anymore, but I kind of like this.
Here's the one upside is he doesn't have to sell.
Yes,
right?
Because he's bad at wrestling. So all you have to do is say, hey, shoulder block people and then look menacing and flex, and he can do that pretty well. Like, he's not bad.
That's right. So I'm not even being facetious. It takes away half of the game for him and makes it easy. He doesn't have to sell. It's the ECW 911 theory. He didn't have to wrestle. He could just come out and choke slam people and get over, right?
Unfortunately, Eric Bischoff didn't get that memo, so.
Yeah, and then, then you got Tombstone Al trying to wrestle matches. Eric Bischoff lost, and like you say, he's a fraud. But it's the same thing. Like, Shira doesn't have to sell. Here's the downside. Everyone remembers him as a joke, so it's hard to shake that without changing his gimmick completely, like without giving him a mask or giving him a new identity. And the other thing is he sucks so bad.
He's really bad.
That he can't even do, like, the power spots clean. Did you notice that? Like, I've been watching Impact and you haven't. So
yeah, he tried to do like a gorilla press and he like lost the guy, and I'm like, oh no. Like, that's like, just be able to lift person. Like, just lift a guy over your head. And that's, even that's kind of a struggle for him. So
yeah. So I feel like those are the two things where it's not going to work, but they're giving it the old college try, Rich.
Hey, you know what? Go for it, man. If it breaks big in India, he's still a fucking YouTube draw, man. If you look at those YouTube videos, if Malabala Shira is in a YouTube video, that shit gets a ton of views. So he's still a draw in that sense. So hey,
Well, why do you think Kavita Devi is still employed by WWE?
What do you mean? Because she's a great talent, Joe.
She's not fucking Minami Toyota, okay? That's not why she's there. So, do you notice that whenever I do my he's not or she's not, I always use Minami Toyota for women and Kenta Kobashi for men?
You do always use Kenta Kobashi.
I should probably mix it up a little. You know what I mean? Like, but those are always like, for whatever reason, those are the ones that.
Well, I mean, hey, they're like great wrestlers and the best draws of their eras. They're fucking charisma I mean, they're an explosion of charisma. And they're great in ring. I mean, those are probably the best examples, man. Those are two of the best of all time. So hey.
I listen to Mad Dog Russo, and every time like he wants to say that a baseball player, like when he does the same thing, every time it's Joe DiMaggio.
Of course,
single time. Yeah, pipe down. He's no Joe DiMaggio. Like every fucking time. Like, and I feel like every time I do it, it's Kenta Kobashi. Like I promise you, next time I'm not going to say Kenta Kobashi. I am going to say Minami Toyota though, because I don't know many more excellent Joshi wrestlers. I got to be honest.
Like your all-time greats. Well, she was also like that charisma level too. That's just
she was incredible. You know what? Yeah. I'll use Hakuto. How about that?
Akira Hokuto. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can use that. No Aja Kong. Yeah. But yeah, Hokuto and Miami Toyota.
Bacano. Yeah. Fucking Crush Girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Crush Girls. Yeah, there you go.
She's no Crush Girls. She's no Jaguar, right? But yeah. So anyway, wasted a lot of time on this battle.
We really did. Yeah, we wasted almost as much time as they did. Then we had Taya Valkyrie defeating Tenille Dashwood for the Knockouts Championship. Joe, I watched this match. I hope you have some thoughts, because I don't know if I have a single thought on Taya Valkyrie and Tenille Dashwood. But
this is what I mean. It was just a series of
like I watched this match, and Joe, I couldn't tell you one spot. As I'm thinking in my head, I'm having this freak out of, did I actually watch this? And I know I did. It somehow went 11 minutes and 50 seconds. I don't remember a single fucking thing from it.
You want to know the problem with this match? Taya Valkyrie is no Minami Toyota, and Tenille Dashwood is no Akira Hokuto. Okay? That's the problem here. Rich, they're not very good. I do not get Taya Valkyrie, and I've never understood Taya. She's just not that good. I guess she's got a nice look. I don't know.
It's a good look, and the presentation's kind of cool and stuff. But yeah. Once the bell rings, it gets kind of.
Then the Bruce Pritchard gimmick, right? Then the bell rings, and Tenille Dashwood stinks.
She sucks. Yeah,
she's not good. So what you had here was a little Impact match that made no impression on anyone. Did you know that Taya Valkyrie is the longest reigning Knockouts champion of all time?
I did know that. I don't know how. I think.
Well, they told me on the
I think Josh Matthews said it
times today, so it was drilled into my brain. Can I talk about that again for just a brief second?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I don't know who these goofballs are that they fucking put on these media calls, and I'm embarrassed to be a part of this group of people. Okay, number one. How many times, and I hope some of them are listening, after the first person asked Taya Valkyrie what it feels like to be Knockouts champion, that's your cue not to ask her that again. At least a half a dozen people asked Taya Valkyrie, Taya, how does it feel to be Knockouts champion? Not only did she answer the question already, who fucking cares? Why would you ask that?
Terrible question, yeah.
Why would you even ask that to begin with?
Because you're going to get a generic two-sentence answer with no follow-up, no backup. and you know the answer already. She's not going to say, "It fucking sucks." You know what? I hate being Knockouts champion. It's really a lot of work. I wish I wasn't the Knockouts champion. I wish I was just on the Raw. Like, it's a great honor. It's unbelievable to be, with the. I didn't listen to the call. I don't know what the answer was, but it was probably, it's an unbelievable feeling. It's, the best to be, recognized as the top in your class of wrestlers or whatever. And I joined such, luminaries as insert random names here or whatever. So it's quite the honor. The end.
She was asked a derivative of, what's it feel like to be Knockouts champion, and what's it feel like to be the longest reigning Knockouts champion, no less than 6 to 8 times. I'm not kidding. And we're going to put the auto up as proof. And I'm just rolling my fucking eyes. Like, here's the thing. Not only is it a repeat question, it's a question. Who fucking cares what that answer is? Why would you even care what she has to say to that question?
It doesn't even make a good headline. It doesn't even make Taya Valkyrie finds being Impact champion rewarding. Like, who cares? Okay.
It's like, here's the thing. If you don't have good questions to ask, sit there silently and don't ask any.
Right.
Which is
great, because you can still, I mean, I many times, in my days of doing, high school reporting or whatnot, doing football, basketball games or whatever, there were times where I was with some pretty heavy hitters in the Chicago, high school, and I was like 19, 20, 21 at this point. A lot of times they would just rifle off question after question after question. And I was like, fuck, they're getting good quotes. I'll let this thing ride. Like, I would maybe ask one thing or I wouldn't at all. They don't care. Like, if these guys are asking the questions and you're getting the quotes, you're fine. Like, that's all you need. So if I didn't want to chime in and just go, yeah, what does it feel like to get this win? Like, they're not going to, yeah, it's great. We won. We want to win. Like, I wasn't going to sit there and ask those questions, so that if there are people giving good questions and you're getting good content out of it, you don't need to be a part. You don't have to say something. You don't have to ask a shitty question, but people don't know any better. So yeah, it's kind of the state of wrestling journalism at this point, unfortunately.
It's so brutal. These people are so bad. I mean, they're just terrible.
They want surface level headline bullshit. So that's all it is. It's just, they want one story where they can put 2 lines in there, or embed a tweet and post it from there. That's what we're looking at these days.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. But yeah, the match was a.
How does it feel? It's good. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, so then we had the triple threat tag team match for the Impact World Tag Team titles. The North successfully defending their titles against Rich Swann and Willie Mack, and Rhino and Rob Van Dam. And Joe, unbelievably, after about 14 minutes of the match, working competently back and forth, Rob Van Dam just throws a fucking super kick and hits Rhino and turns on him. Rob Van Dam turns heel, and we're getting the much anticipated Rob Van Dam Rhino feud in Impact Wrestling this year. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I really enjoyed the interactions with Ethan Page, or the North, I should say, and Swan and Willie Mack. I really didn't see why Rhino and Rob Van Dam had to be in this match at all. And then especially when it was over, I was just like, yeah, I really could have done without any involvement of those two guys. So
they did the angle. That's why,
I guess. But why? So what's the? Give me in the mind of a Rob Van Dam who works this match for 14 minutes and then turns on his teammate.
Yeah.
Do I have to tune in to Impact to find out? I guess
again,
motivations. Yeah.
We talked about it at the time. It was part of the utter perfection and brilliance of the Kenta turn. He didn't get in there and fight the guys he was teaming with. But, they don't think about shit like that. And, again, this was just basically an Impact match with an angle at the end. This could have been on Impact.
Yeah, it could have been on any of those weekend shows that they ran, around the Chicago area. So
a lot of people like this match, though, believe it or not.
I mean, I thought it was good. Any interaction with the North and Swan and Willie Mack, I really liked. Like I said, the Rhino RVD stuff I had no use for. RVD played the hits, and it's like I've seen those same fucking sequence of moves, and I love Rob Van Dam's one of like my all time favorites. But it's like, yeah, he's doing the same stuff he did in 2002 at this point, and it's like, okay, I get it. Like,
yeah, I mean, at this point, look, he's a fun-loving, divorced guy pushing 50, banging his girlfriend and all of her friends. Like
he's living life. Yeah, he's getting high and banging his girlfriend with her gigantic ass. So I mean, yeah, he's winning. He's definitely doing better than I am. I'm punching a clock, and like.
But you're not going to get inspired pro wrestling performances out of him at this point. So, but he's definitely living a tremendous life at this stage of his. He's not. It's not going to be like Dave Meltzer was with the Existential Crisis, on Wrestling Observer Radio. I think Rob Van Dam would have a very different outlook on his aging.
Certainly, right, yes. All right, so there's that. I mean, the match is fine, but yeah, the big angle there is RVD turns on Rhino. So
yeah, it was a match that happened. I don't know.
Then we had Michael Elgin versus Marufuji. So I found this pretty interesting. He's not Naomichi because nobody can apparently pronounce Naomichi, including Michael Elgin, including Josh Matthews, and Katie, including Don Callis. So he was just Marufuji. One name, Marufuji, and then on the graphic when he came out, it said Marufugi. So that's not great. Not great. But what'd you think of Elgin versus Marufuji?
I wanted to ask about Marufugi today. But you get 2 questions, so that had to be one of the ones I cut.
Did you see that he's leaned into it a little bit? That he had a tweet, I forget, or if it was a tweet or maybe it was on Instagram. I don't know where Marufuji is active, but it was essentially something like, "No, I'm not Marufuji, I'm Marufuji." I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty good, man." Like, so he was probably a little annoyed about that. So
yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you be? They get rid of your first name. Because we're Americans and we're too dumb.
It's Naomichi. Like, you know, like we're idiots. Like we pretty mispronounce every. I have never once not known how to say Naomichi Marufuji. The first time I saw the guy, it was probably a Ring of Honor show back in the day because he worked some of those old Ring of Honor shows. The old, yeah. So they said Naomichi Marufuji, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. There we go. That's good to go. Like that's. I've never once been it's Naomichi. It's like one of the easiest ones you could ever come up with. So the idea that like, well, we're just gonna strike that one for the record. There's no way anyone's gonna be able to get that one. Is kind of it's weird. It's a little nitpicky, but it's like years and years of this shit, and we should be past this at this point. So like,
yeah, I agree. I thought this was the best match on the show. I think that the first 5 to 8 minutes, I was like, Marufuji is hurting, and it's going to be one of those nights where he just, you know how he is.
Yeah. Oh, and it was definitely that for the first 5-10 minutes, like you're saying. Like I'm like, oh no, he's getting that check and walking out of this ring, and he's not doing anything more than the bare minimum for you. So I was a little worried about the same point you were as well.
Yeah. But then, man, did this pick up. And, you know, the last 2/3 of this match were really good. And, you know, it got it to notebook level, low notebook. So to me, this edges out the main event just because it's more my style of match. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I don't know where you're going to stand on the ladder match. I didn't like it. I know a lot of people really loved the ladder match. But yeah, I thought the work here was excellent once they got going and you saw that Marufuji was going to put in some effort and wasn't going to have one of his nights where he just sleepwalks through the match. And to be fair, his body is just destroyed. So
yeah, you could say you're not getting 2004, you know, Marufuji anymore. That's just never ever going to happen anymore. But this is the best that you can get out of 2019. You know, Naomichi Marufuji, in terms of the chops, in terms of the kicks, in terms of doing just enough here. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people might think of this match, or maybe they haven't seen, you know, Marufuji in a while. And I think they maybe went into this with weird expectations because, like, I know what he's at, you know, these days. I know what he's going to wrestle like. So when you see him come out there, I know that there are people that still have this other idea. I know when I was talking with people about this match, they were like, "Oh man, it's gonna be awesome." And I was like, just to let you know, like, Marufuji isn't what you kind of remember if you're not keeping up with Noah anymore. But they worked it very hard hitting, very sort of. It had the feel of like. Not necessarily like, you know, a classic Marufuji match, not necessarily even a classic Michael Elgin match, but it felt very much, to me, kind of like almost kind of like a 2019 All Japan match, where it's just like, you know, very methodical at times, a little slow at times, very hard hitting, and just kind of like when it was over, Michael Elgin just hit his move and it was just over, and there wasn't like a ton of kickouts, there wasn't a ton of, you know, back and forth, it's just like guys, you know, guy got an advantage, you know, the other guy would get an advantage, the other guy would get the momentum, and then like the guy would just beat him, and it was just like kind of a classic simple pro wrestling story, but I really did enjoy it too. It really did pick up after, like you said, after those first 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Rich, he didn't just hit his move, he hit the burning hammer.
Yeah, right.
So some symbolism there that was lost on a lot of people, surprisingly.
Including Josh Matthews.
I mean, yeah, Josh Matthews get with the I mean, come on.
You should know the burning hammer, man.
Fucking
like, you know the emerald. Okay, you got like, at least like, I don't know if they do this. Like, I know most guys, you know, most wrestling will say, you know, Elgin will go up to him and say, "Hey, I'm going to do this here tonight, and that's an important move," and yada 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 or whatever. I don't know if that happened. I don't know whose result that was, but it's still the fucking burning hammer. You know what I mean? Like, Josh, you should maybe know the burning hammer and maybe know the emerald flosion too. It's like, you know. I feel like those are the 2 moves you kind of have to know with these guys. But yeah, like you said, it's just like, wow, Elgin with an impressive move on Marufuji. I'm like, it's very impressive. Yes, you're right. It is. Yeah, it is one of the more protected moves in wrestling. But yeah,
I mean, and Elgin stood there, center of the ring, facing hard cam, and posed before he did it to like You know what I mean? Like, he's a wrestling nerd. He gets it, and there's a lot of symbolism into why he did it. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Matthews is just, I don't know, but
it just didn't nail it. But hey, that's a theme for today, I think, or this week is bad play-by-play announcers. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we had the Intergender Ladder Match X Division title. Ace Austin wins the title. He defeats Jay Chris, Tessa Blanchard, Daga, and Ace Romero. And they announced that Ace Romero has signed a contract with Impact as well. So he is now there. And then, yeah, so what do you think of Ace Austin, guy who fucks people, winning the X Division title? I like his pivot from weird card magician guy to like dude who fucks people. I enjoy that a lot. So
a storyline that Scott D'Amore put over as one of the new innovative storylines.
Ace Austin fucks people. I like
yeah.
That. Yeah.
Well, how about swinger? Like, he's a literal swinger.
I do enjoy that. That is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like when he does his promos and stuff and his backstage stuff, it's presented VHS style in 4:3 ratio with tracking bars going through it,
which is pretty sweet. They mentioned, I think they mentioned as well during the Geek Battle Royal that he had 8x10s, but they were just like printed out on like, they were like black and white and printed out on like dot matrix paper. And then put into like a laminate, and I was just like, hell yeah, that's fucking awesome. Like,
yeah,
I'm now a Johnny Swinger guy. Like, I was bad mouthing a little bit because I'm like, why are you bringing back Johnny Swinger? But if you're gonna lean into it, like, fucking lean into it, man. It's great.
It's kind of goofy that I like. It's you know, some things land with you and some don't, and that has definitely landed with me. But yeah, Ace Austin, yeah, he like talking about fucking Eddie Edwards' wife. Like, that's his storyline right now.
Everybody wants to fuck Alicia Edwards, man. It's that poor poor woman.
Yeah.
She just wants to go to, like, she just wants to sit backstage. Everyone's just trying to bang her all the time. It's unbelievable. So,
and Ace Romero, good signing. I feel like they were calling him AC Romero, and I don't know if it's because they have his Impact name is AC, as in ACEY, or maybe just A.C. Or because it says AC Baby on his tights, that right. Josh Matthews is just stupid.
Oh, you're right. I didn't think of that. I just thought they called him AC Romero because, yeah, he's Ace Romero, but nickname is AC Baby, if you're not familiar with Ace Romero. But, yeah, right. they're announcing him as AC Romero, which is...
Right. So I'm watching the match thinking, okay, maybe they changed his name to... Because, you know, new promotion, maybe he changed the name a little for whatever reason. Maybe they already have Ace Austin and they don't want two aces.
Oh, God, we're doing that? Oh, geez,
I'm just saying. Like,
yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. That's probably...
I'm thinking in my head because they're calling him AC. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute. Maybe Josh Matthews is just dumb, and he thinks his name is AC because it says AC Baby on his tights. I would like the official answer to that. Once again, I was limited to 2 questions today. Because believe me,
I love that. I love that. You know, somebody's asking Taya, "How do you feel?" You know, about winning matches, and you're like, "Hey, what the fuck's up with this AC Romero bullshit?" Like,
yeah.
Is Josh just dumb, or is this his name? Like, I love it.
It's unbelievable. You know, one of the questions I didn't get to either, I wanted to ask about Killer Cross, obviously.
Well, yeah, no, that should have been question number 2 is, are you going to let this guy out of his contract, or are you just going to keep dicking him over? And
so I went with 2 other questions, right? Because I figured someone's going to...
probably going to ask the Killer Cross question.
Yeah. I said, look, the Killer Cross question's a layup. I don't have to waste one of my... I was being strategic. So I thought I don't have to ask about Killer Cross because someone's definitely going to ask about that, right? So I that one didn't make my cut, and I asked my other 2 questions. And then no one asked about Killer Cross, Rich, until the very last person they called on. And I don't remember the guy's name because I would definitely put him over if I remembered his name. But I'm going to listen back and praise him and find him on Twitter and thank him because... I'm like in the little chat room going, someone ask about Killer Cross. How can no one ask this? And I'm going to be mad at myself for not asking, right? But I was giving these people way too much credit, like benefit of the doubt that someone else would do it. But finally someone came through. But yeah, I don't know what Ace Romero's name is. Anyway, this match, people are mad because Tessa didn't win. But as you noted, it might be because she's leaving. We don't know. Can I just say that Daga is not very good?
He's not. Say that? Yeah, you always think like because you see him and he looks like he should be good, but he's just really not that good. Yeah, I've seen him live a few times, and I'm always like, oh yeah, Daga, this is gonna be sweet, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's just not.
This isn't very good. Like you're waiting for this guy to be good, and he's never good. I give up.
He looks great. Like he looks awesome. Like he looks like he'd be fucking fantastic, but
no, he's just a guy. He's a total Jaga. He's now Jaga. Tessa Blanchard. Now, here's the thing. Whether she's leaving or not, I don't understand why everybody's all up in arms that she didn't win the match. Because she's either leaving or they're building her up for a bigger win than the Dopey X Division title in a ladder match.
Right. There's one or two scenarios. I would either
on how this was such a huge, egregious mistake. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, and she got screwed at the end by Ace Austin. You know? And here's the other thing, and this is the hard conversation we have to have about Tessa Blanchard. Okay? She is so overrated as a star. I get that people like her. There are 2,000 people per week watching this show on Twitch. Okay? Tessa Blanchard does not move the needle. Can we calm down with Tessa Blanchard? She's a nice little wrestler. She's not some kind of star. And this idea that Tessa Blanchard is getting screwed and they need to just push it. Where is the evidence that she's moving the needle in any discernible way? In fact, Rich, I would argue the opposite. That ever since they've been leaning into intergender and leaning into Tessa Blanchard challenging men and being on top, that less people are interested in Impact. Is it because of the intergender?
Right. Is it causal or yeah. We don't know that for sure.
That I don't know. And it could be. It very well could be. Okay? Because I am still of the belief that intergender is very popular among a very small vocal minority of people on social media and not very popular at all outside of that bubble. That's my personal belief. Can I prove it? No. Do I have a lot of anecdotal evidence? Yes, I do. But I can't prove it. That's just my belief. I could be wrong, and I'd be happy to be proven wrong if this new Impact strategy takes off. But this idea that Tessa Blanchard she is the biggest star in the company, and why are they not putting the titles on her? And I can't believe they're treating her this way. And how did she not win this match? Rich, they did the rematch with Sami Callihan. It didn't draw. It didn't sell tickets, and it didn't draw on Twitch. So this whole Tessa Blanchard is this star being held. Show me the evidence. She is so overrated and believe me, I hate to continue the bit. She's no Aja Kong either. Can we calm down with Tessa Blanchard, the wrestler? She's okay. She's good. She's not this fucking game-changing talent.
She's this dynamo. She's not this dynamo that you just can't it's unbelievable they're not doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this unbelievable, unbeatable, obvious superstar that they're just choosing to not push or choosing to not give the title to and all that sort of stuff. Which, again, like you said, there's two scenarios that come with her not winning this match, and I did see a lot of people getting upset about it too. Is like, I don't want her in the X Division title no matter what the next step is with her. If I'm Impact, and like you said, you're leaning into you're Scott D'Amore and you're leaning into the intergender, you're doing all that sort of stuff. I'm then, whether it's good, bad, or whatever, I'm saying, okay, look, let's see if we can get Tessa to that level. Let's really shake the ground here. Let's see if, what can we lose, if we give her the world title? And I think that would be the one path I would kind of go on. Or there's the path of she's leaving and she's going to go get a big money deal somewhere else, or Impact's going to pay a lot for her if they can, which I doubt they could. And she's going to be a hot commodity. AEW's going to want her. WWE's going to want her. Everyone's going to want her. So there's one of two scenarios, and neither of those is she wins the X Division title on the fourth match on the bottom from the show or whatever. There's no point in that. That is so missing the forest from the trees or whatever for that. I mean, there's the two scenarios you want her. She's either gone and you don't want her winning the title, or she's on her bigger and better things. Like, there's just no scenario where her winning the dopey X Division title is worthwhile whatsoever. So, Rich,
Jake Christ came into this match with that title.
Right. I mean, it's geeks. They're geeks.
I mean, who gives a shit, And it's like, look, when I get annoyed when something I think is being overinflated or overrated or whatever, I tend to go a little hard the other way. Granted, she's a good wrestler. Okay. She's improved a ton. I used to think she stunk, and I've watched her improve, and I've noted her improvements. And I do think she's an excellent wrestler. One of the best women's wrestlers in America right now. But it's like, I think people just go way overboard with the Tessa stuff. And again, I hate to hammer this home. Okay. Impact on Pursuit, with Tessa being pushed, was doing less than 5,000 viewers a week. Impact on Twitch, with Tessa being pushed, has dropped to 2,000 viewers, 2,500 viewers a week. When there were points where it was like 10,000. So look, this is a fact-based podcast. We talk truth here. How is she being? Where's the evidence that she's moving the needle in any way? And again, this could be causation. Look, am I saying it's her fault that the numbers are dropping? No,
but they're not rising because of her.
There is nobody in great numbers, in any significant numbers whatsoever, going out of their way to watch Tessa Blanchard on Impact. That I know for a fact. So I think people really need to pump the brakes on this. What are they losing if they lose Tessa Blanchard? I mean, they're losing a good wrestler. I don't think they're losing someone. Hey, listen, could she become a star at some point? Sure. Have they made her one? I see no evidence Impact has made Tessa Blanchard a star. Will she moonwalk into NXT and become a star? Will she be in the mix if she goes to WWE? Will she go to AEW and do good quarter hours? I don't know. Maybe. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Impact has not made this person a star. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. Am I being unfair?
I don't know if you're being fully unfair, but I think, I think she's a little bit more important to Impact than maybe you do. Not necessarily because of herself is that big of a deal, but the fact that just losing another person on that roster, you're losing another big talent on that roster, losing somebody that you have invested a lot in over the last, year or two or whatever would be a big blow, I think, to their bottom line, because I think it's just like, if I'm Impact, I don't, you got to retain somebody. You got to, somebody has to be kept. There has to be some sort of long-term story. There has to be some long-term people or whatever. So that kind of hurts, is if it's, you just can't keep Sami Callihan. You know what I mean? It just can't always be Sami Callihan or whatever. And they've, I think, done a decent job of building her up for a bigger role and a more important role in the company. It's just a matter of, A, is it going to be a business mover? And B, now what do you do if she is on her way out? And yeah, do you, if I'm Impact, do I, empty the cash load for her? Do I, empty out and blow up our entire company to keep her? Probably not. Like, I don't know that I could, but like, again, it's just another big blow if you can't maybe at least get in the picture or get, her maybe signed or whatnot. But I think she's a little bit more important than you're saying, but I don't think she's like a dramatic business mover, but I don't know if that's Impact attrition or her. But I think, to me, honestly, I would try to go for it and try to build her up and see if you can get anything going out of that, to see if you can get something going. Because what do you have to lose, really, if you're Impact at this point?
Nothing to lose. Here's what you don't do. You don't put the X Division title on.
No, that's the dumbest fucking thing ever, yeah.
Here's what you do. She beats Brian Cage and you give it a go. That's what you do.
Sure.
And that's what I think they're building towards here. Not this stupid thing. Okay? She lost to Sami Callihan the first time. Remember, we loved the match. Remember?
Oh,
but it's like,
yeah, match ruled.
To me, that was them saying, okay, she's going to get it next time. So it's like, to me, what you do is you have Callihan eventually beat Brian Cage and she beats Callihan. Because that's the story. The story is not Cage. Callahan's the one that goes on TV and puts down the women and says that women don't belong in the ring with me. That's his deal. And he already beat Tessa once. So that's what you do.
Right. Oh, you wouldn't want to beat Cage either, because Cage is also the guy that's like, trying to fight for his woman and do all that sort of. So it's a weird story if Tessa goes in there and, fucking hits a Canadian Destroyer and pins him or whatever. It's just not the way that they built up Cage or Tessa, really.
So I'm not even against pushing Tessa to the top and beating Callihan for the title. I would do that. Right? I'm just saying, like, I just think people go overboard with this.
Right, well, everyone's going to think it's like the thing that's going to change the game or whatever, and it's like probably just going to, be the same old thing. But again, I agree that, like, you go for it. I mean, you really have literally nothing to lose and maybe something to gain if it happens, so.
I've endorsed going for it with The Fiend. I mean, you have to go for it and you have to try. So I'm totally behind that. Anyway, I didn't think much of this ladder match. Maybe I come here and say the same thing about every ladder match I ever watched.
You're done. No, this one was particularly just like people go up high and then they fall, and then people go up high and then they fall. Yeah, I didn't.
This match was Romero was the star of the match.
Oh, he was taking huge bumps, insane bumps.
Yeah, Daga may as well not been there.
Yeah, I don't remember anything Daga did.
Like, Tessa didn't stand out in this match. It was Ace Romero was the standout of this match. And this is a guy who was probably, working for a contract or just got signed and was motivated because of that and wanted to make an impression, but he did some dangerous shit and he was the standout here.
Then we had Moose versus Ken Shamrock. A fun build to this match, but it was, Ken Shamrock's 50, whatever he is, and Moose isn't particularly the guy that you want really carrying a match. 55 for Ken Shamrock. I mean, he looked like $1 million. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I enjoyed it because it was kind of had a novelty to it, but I was definitely ready for it to end when it ended.
Yeah, I mean, Shamrock looks great. It was overbooked. I mean, that's the biggest problem. Yeah, and it was. I mean, in reality, this sucked. But I don't know.
Right. It was if it wasn't like the first time you've seen Ken Shamrock in a wrestling ring in 20 years or whatever, you would just think it's utter shit and who cares. But like, it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's cool. Ken Shamrock's in the ring. And then like 6 minutes in, I'm like, all right, we can go home now. We're good. Like, I've seen what I wanted to see, and yay, you're back, and okay. But like, yeah, the problem is that Ken Shamrock's not good, and he wasn't really that good even, in his prime. So now, without wrestling for years and years and years, and obviously he's 55 and his body's a little broken down. Like, he can cosmetically look good, and he can have all kind of the look and the feel, but once the bell rings, yeah, you're kind of lost. And unfortunately, Moose isn't that guy that's really gonna turn a match around or be the guy that carries it. So it was fine, but yeah, like you said, in retrospect, it probably did suck. But I tried to find some positives out of it.
Give a little old guy curve. I mean, we talked about this last week. It's like when Ricky Steamboat had those okay matches when he was an old guy, and people were raving like they were the greatest fucking thing. No, they weren't. They were
right.
Nice.
He did a drop kick that like gets done by 10 guys on the same show, but it was Ricky Steamboat, and he was 50 years old and had a good looking drop kick, and you're like, fuck, that's awesome. Like,
you give extra credit, and deservedly so. And it's like we're giving Shamrock extra credit for, we'll call it average, even though it was shit. And with Steamboat was perfectly average, but you give the extra credit because he's old and he's Ricky Steamboat. You say it's good.
Right.
This is how it goes.
And then we had the main event, which I really, really liked. I liked this, Brian Cage defeating Sami Callihan. I think you put this on Twitter, and it exactly sums up my thoughts. I'm somebody who's seen Sami Callihan live like a fucking 100 times, like way more than I ever want to see Sami Callihan live ever again. And it never fails. Every Sami Callihan match I love is an Impact. That company, just for whatever reason, Sami Callihan in Impact, it just works for me. He's like one of my favorite wrestlers on Impact, and probably my least favorite wrestler anywhere else in the world, anywhere else in the universe. I see him so often at AEW, and he always fucking stinks. But man, when he comes to Impact, for whatever reason, it just clicks with me. He's just perfect for that brand. I like this match. I thought Cage looked good. I thought Callahan looked good. I thought the story of the match was good. And I liked the finish was just Cage eventually just beats the guy. The guy beat up his wife and pile drove him on their wedding day or whatever. And he went at him right away. They had a no disqualification match. I didn't think it got too plundery. I think maybe there was times where it was borderline there. But then at the end, it just was Brian Cage just put him down. He put him in thumbtacks or whatever, put him down and pinned him, and it was over, which I like that. It was simple. Again, maybe a little too plundery, a little too many weapons, but I think at the end of the day, it did exactly what it needed to do, and I think it was the right result.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and it was the only other match on the show that I really liked. So, you summed it up good. Good definitive ending. Cage looked like an absolute geek in the fucking Wolverine thing. I'm tired of these wrestlers coming out dressed like cartoon characters. It's like, just put on a fucking badass robe and be tough looking.
Right. Well, I find this weird. I'm unfortunately going to go into Jim Cornette mode here a little bit, so don't mind. But like, you guys are the fucking stars. Like, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, oh hey, it's this guy's dressing up like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a big star in the movies that you might have seen. Like, no, Brian Cage is a fucking star, man. Be yourself. Be Brian fucking Cage. You know. Yeah. Be Mr. Get Your Shit In. Don't be like, oh, Wolverine's a cool character, and I'm being Wolverine. like I hate that because I'm the biggest nerd in the fucking world. Like, I'm a huge giant nerd, so I should be. But like, Brian Cage isn't a fucking nerd. I don't want Brian Cage to be a nerd. I want Brian Cage to go out there and be Brian fucking Cage. You know what I mean? Like, he's a fucking monster. Like, just be Get Your Shit In, monster Brian Cage. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, oh, he's an homage to Wolverine. Oh, hey, like,
don't be a fucking cartoon character. I'm not interested in it. Put on a badass Dr. Death Steve Williams robe or Kenta Kobashi. Remember that Kenta Kobashi robe with the hood?
Yeah, I remember the Kenta Kobashi robe. Are you kidding? Yeah.
Put on a badass hood with a robe and fucking and pace around and fucking stretch out and fucking don't come out like you're going to a fucking Halloween party dressed as fucking a cartoon character. It's not menacing. It's not tough. Who are you popping other than yourself? Because you like Wolverine. I mean, it's such prelim level shit. Like, it's so unbecoming of a main eventer. It really bothers me. Maybe irrationally so. And maybe, like you said, maybe we're going full Cornette. But I see him come out and I'm like, what is that? Why? Just, Why are you emulating a cartoon character? Fucking, like you're saying, you be the star.
Right. Don't be, here's the real stars, is those movie people that are Wolverine. Be Brian fucking Cage. People should be dressing up as you, not the other way around, yeah.
Kids should want to be you. You know?
We've gone full Cornette. Yeah, this is...
No, but it's true.
Yeah, no, it's true, yeah.
He looked like an absolute fucking dope coming out there.
The problem is, too, is it's like a third-rate Wolverine costume, too. It's just like, it was... Because he found the claws, and then he had to find everything else after the claws. Like, he got the claws from, like, Amazon. It was like, oh, cool, I'll be Wolverine. But then decided, I need more than just the claws. So then he got, like, a bunch of, like, boxes of LED lights or something and put them around his waist. And then he had, like, some eyeball thing. Like, it was... And I know Wolverine. Like, that people are going to be like, I know Wolverine. All right, guys? I'm a giant nerd. But, like...
Here's what I'm going to tell you, Rich. Actually, it was Weapon X.
Right.
It wasn't Wolverine.
Is that true? I don't know. Is it not?
That's even worse. Okay? It's even worse that he was like a derivative of Wolverine. Like, you're not helping his case. You know what I mean? Like, he went even deeper into the fucking dork pool with that shit. Like,
and he doesn't even look like Weapon X.
No, just listen.
But you're right, though. How did you know that? Did somebody else tell you that?
I don't know. I might even be wrong.
No, I think you're right. I think that's what he was going for. But that doesn't even look like Weapon X, though.
Here's what I want him to do.
Weapon X had a full headgear, so
he's in a fucking plunder match. You know what he should have came out in? A pair of jeans with fucking knee pads over the
with boots tucked in. Yeah.
Yep, with the boots tucked in, knee pads over the.
I didn't even think of that, Joe. You've made me even more upset. He's this guy just fucking beat up his wife on their wedding day, pile drove her in the middle of the ring. I'm coming in whatever the fuck I showed up in the arena in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm putting my bag down and saying, "Where's that motherfucker Sam McKellen?" And I'm going to kill him.
A man who beat up your wife and threatened to beat up your wife, and you're going to take the time to put on a Weapon X costume before you fight him. I'm sorry.
You got me mad. You got me mad now. I'm full Cornette now. I'm there.
Could you imagine that? Someone threatens your wife. Are you going to go put on a fucking Spider-Man outfit before you fight him? Or are you just going to go fight the guy? What are we doing? You know, like, stop giving these wrestlers so much agency over this stuff, too. Like, why isn't Scott D'Amore or whoever's back there putting their foot down going, wait a minute. This is dumb. Okay? Do this on Impact next week when you're wrestling fucking Rahit Raju. Not the main event of where a man threatened to kill your wife. You're going to come out like a fucking 12-year-old dressed up like Weapon X. Are you kidding? In a horrible costume that would lose any reputable costume.
It would. It probably would, yeah. I go to C2E2 every single year, and this thing would get fucking destroyed by other real cosplayers. So, yeah.
And then I love guy on Twitter who always responds to tweets like that. You wouldn't say that to Brian Cage's face. You know what? You're right. Because I'm not a dick. And I don't go up to people's faces and insult them. No one.
People want us to go up to guys and say, "Hey, you fucking suck at wrestling." Like, I'm not going to do that.
That is the dumbest point. Nobody walks up to anyone on the street just to I would never walk up to an actor in the street and say, "Hey, you're that actor." "Yes, I am." "Your movie sucked." Who does that? Of course I wouldn't say it to his face. Why? That is the most vapid, stupid shit. That is the sign of a stupid person. Immediately. Someone on Twitter who says, you wouldn't say it to so-and-so's face. You're absolutely right, I would not. Because I have fucking class. And I don't go up to people in the street and insult them. Dummy. Got me all fired up now.
You're ready to go there. So that was Brian Cage and Sam McKellen, and that was...
That's what I would do, though, Rich. If I was Brian Cage's boss, I would tell him that's a bad idea, and he's not going out to the ring in that. Does that count as saying it to his face?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, come on. But no, I'm not going to go up to Brian Cage at the next indie show I go to and tell him he looks...
Hey, Brian, quit that Wolverine shit. It looks like you look like an idiot. So.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. In the context of business, I would tell him, though. I hope that guy's listening. I think he follows us, too. I hope he's listening. I want you to know that you were very stupid, and I don't want you to listen anymore. And I want you to unfollow it. No. I want you to at me again so I can block you. How about that? Stupid guy. Anyway, what's next?
Fired up here. Yeah, let's
I
get
am
you,
fired up.
get you happy. Let's get you happy a little bit. Yeah, I like this match. Now you maybe hate this match. No, I still do like it. So
the match was good.
That was Impact Bound for Glory. The Access era of Bound for Glory is off and running. Their next pay-per-view is going to be Hard to Kill, which is a bizarre name for a pay. I don't know if I love that idea. Like, I like the tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, like you can't kill us, but it's also, I don't know, it doesn't feel like, I don't know if I'd rally behind the fact that, like, hey, we fail, but we fail up. Like,
by the way, that guy I'm talking about, if you're a subscriber, though, this is all just a bit. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely, yeah. Please give us.
Yeah. If you're a subscriber, this is all just a bit. It's all in good fun. All in good fun. Keep that $5 coming. Thank you.
Do you have any hard to kill thoughts before we move on?
No, I think it's too on the nose and a little too cute. And you shouldn't be proud that you're on the brink of death all the time.
Exactly, yeah. So that's that. All right, let's get to some other stuff here. We got little bits left in the show here, and we wanted to touch on a few little topics around the wrestling world. You wanted to get into Pro Wrestling Noah. I can't say the green ring anymore. I always used to tell you the green ring, and you get all fired up about Pro Wrestling Noah, but now it's like the white ring with the random logo that isn't really that interesting or fun. But what's going on in Pro Wrestling Noah? Because I have not been following, but you wanted to talk about it this week.
Well, they got the Sumo Hall show coming up on the 2nd of November, so this was kind of the last chance to talk about it, right? Maybe we could have done it. Oh, shit, next week is Halloween.
I know, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out, because, yeah, my house is it's not conducive to recording a podcast on that night, so.
No, it's not. Doorbells ringing all the time, and it's going to be bad. Dogs barking. So we'll preview it here. We'll just go through it real quick, because, I am caught up on Noah. I watched the whole N1. Rich, the N1 victory? Excellent stuff.
Good. Okay, awesome.
I'm going to tell you what I liked about the N1. Every match was solid at worst. And because barely any of it made tape, this sounds like a backhanded compliment, but it was really easy to get through. Like, there was only like 6 matches to watch, like 6 or 7 matches to watch. Because there's only like 8 guys in the tournament or whatever it was, right? And not everything made tape. And the stuff that made tape was all really good. So it was an easy tournament to get through. Kano was the winner. And he's doing a gimmick in the tournament where he's winning a lot of his matches by knockout with the high kick, right? So go back 2 years, Rich, if you recall, Kano defeated a young Kaito Kiyomiya by knockout with a head kick in Korakuen Hall on January 6th, 2018, I want to say. Kaito Kiyomiya goes on excursion with the aforementioned Scott D'Amore, as we come full circle, in Canada, comes back, wins the Noah title. Kiyomiya gets his revenge exactly 1 year later and defeats Kano in Korakuen Hall, right? But we're still telling this story. Kano is knocking people out with the high kick in the N1 tournament, wins the tournament, and now the obvious story here is, can he knock out Kiyomiya again with the high kick like he did 2 years ago? Are you into that? That's a good story,
That's
right?
a cool story. Yeah, I did see as well that they did it, I think at the last Korakuen, or I forget where it was, where Kano came from the top rope or did the kick or whatever, and laid out Kiyomiya, and they had to put Kiyomiya on like a stretcher and send him to the back or whatever as kind of a part of the story, which I found pretty cool as well. That's a part of the story, right? That he wasn't legit.
Yeah, they did a stretcher job with another KO, and then they said Kiyomiya will miss like the last show or two of the tour, but then vows to be back for Sumo Hall to defend his title.
Yeah.
So now you have this great story where it's like, now there's even more seeds of doubt, because now he's coming in off of the injury, on top of the idea that Kano has his number because he's knocked him out twice and has knocked out all of these other dudes in the N1. So, look, it's a well-built... I wasn't really fully on board with the idea of Kano being the challenger in Sumo Hall until I watched N1 and saw everything play out. And
yeah, it sounds awesome. This sounds really, really cool. Yeah, I'll have to try to at least watch it. I'm going to watch the Sumo Hall show for sure. But I guess, I got a pretty open weekend. I might want to check out some of that N1. So a lot of the stuff is, for people that are listening and haven't been catching up on Noah, now I know they have an active YouTube channel, but are they posting N1 stuff on there? Like, where can you find
that's
Noah
the
stuff?
thing.
Is it all on their YouTube channel then, basically?
It's not all on the YouTube channel, but there are complete N1 shows on the YouTube channel for free and legal. I think 2 of them.
Okay,
so
that's helpful then.
Yeah, without even digging around. If you just want to get a feel for it, you can just go to YouTube and watch, like, I think there's 4 N1 matches total on YouTube. I don't remember which ones, but some of the highlights, Kano versus Masaki Mochizuki. He beat him by KO. No, he didn't. I'm sorry. Actually, I can't remember who won. No, Mochizuki won that match. Spoiler alert. That one on August 26th, I think. That was a really good match. Another one from the N1 was Kano versus Nakajima. He beat him by KO. That was on September 9th. And Segura versus Marufuji was really good on September 7th. Those are some of the ones that made my notebook, but everything was solid. It's funny because Hammerstone, he only made tape once, and MLW aired his match against Go Shiozaki on MLW TV. If you want to,
yeah, I did see that. I did see that one. Yeah,
it was okay, like a little 3-star match.
Yeah, I wish they had picked a better, but I get why I obviously get why that match happened, and they put that one.
And Hammerstone won because that was his first match out of the gate, so they wanted to give him a win coming out of the gate. You know what I mean? El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., he did not make tape a single time for an N1 match, which shows you how it was so easy to get through because they just didn't, a lot of it didn't make tape. But anyway, Kano, I'm way more into his story now, but the thing is, like, I still don't think, despite the great build, that's like a Sumo Hall level main event. But Rich, they have loaded this show with outside names to help. The semi-main event is they're rolling out a national title, and it's going to be Takashi Sugiura versus Mike Elgin to crown the first ever national GHC national champion. What do you think of having a secondary heavyweight title in Noah?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think we talked about this maybe a few weeks ago or whatnot. I don't love it just because it's Noah at this point, and I just don't know that they necessarily have the roster or the need to have a secondary title. And then we also talked about it too, is like, it just, if Kiyomiya wins it over Kano and he remains champion, it just kind of looks, what does that look like? You feel like you kind of have to have a secondary title, and like Sugiura might win that secondary title, and like everybody knows that Sugiura is like a bigger deal. You know, it's the optics of it, of being like on an equal level as the heavyweight championship, I think kind of hurt it a little bit, because I like the structure of how Noah does their titles. There's a heavyweight title, and then there's the tag, and then there's juniors, and then it's like, and that's it. Like it's nice and simplified, and you know who the man is, you know who the guy is in pro wrestling Noah. Whereas other companies that try to do too many titles, it gets a little muddied, and I do have a fear that that's going to kind of happen with Noah a little bit. And that might be by design. They might want to be able to say, hey, look, we have the national championship, and that's main eventing the show. And while Kiyomiya is just in like a tag match or a secondary match or whatever. But again, I don't know if Noah needs to be doing that right now at this point. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to create matches that have more stakes or whatnot. So as somebody, you know, who keeps, you know, one eye on Noah, and would love to watch more with a little bit more time. I mean, I guess I can't hate on it that much. Like, business-wise, I don't love it, but like, you know, entertainment-wise, it's going to be fine. I mean, it's just going to get more important matches, and I can't complain about that.
Look, everyone's screaming about Noah to have a streaming service, and I get it, but I also think Noah's very smart in that they're putting a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can follow Noah without paying $1 and without looking around for fucking, you know, downloads and shit. You know, so... And look, nobody wants to hear this, but they're clearly following a New Japan model. The N1, I mean, come on.
What do you mean?
And then, like, did you see the new GHC title?
Yeah, it looks exactly like the IWGP.
It looks like the IWGP title. And then now they're adding the secondary title, the national title. I'm surprised they didn't just call it the Intercontinental.
Right.
And they're following the market leader. And look, I watched all these Noah shows, and it's good. I mean, it is good. And I've had a lot of criticisms for Kiyomiya that I'm not going to repeat now. It's not the right show for that. But I do think it's good that they're just going full steam ahead and trying. It's the same thing we just kind of talked about with Tessa and The Fiend. Go for it. Try to make that star. No, it's like maybe it won't work, but now they're so pot committed on him, Rich, that I think he has to keep winning. You know, before I was kind of like, maybe let's get it off of him and save him. But at this point, I think it's like they're pot committed. It's like they've already seen the flop. You've got a million chips on the table. Just you got to keep him. You know, there's no way you should lose to Kano. at this point.
No. At this point, it would be a miserable failure. You'd be doing more. You'd be doing damage forever if he just like gets knocked out by Kano and loses. It's just like
now you're in Sumo Hall. Like, give him let him give the speech at the end of the show and be in the middle of the ring at the end of the Sumo Hall show.
Right. If by the time you come back next year it didn't work, whatever. But at least try it. You may as well.
You're into now, and look, he hasn't been a failure. We talk about it all the time. He's basically just held the fort, and there are signs that it is moving forward a bit. But yeah, they're going to add this second title. I want to see how the second title plays out first. I don't really have an opinion right now. But, it's, Elgin's a good pickup, and that's through the association with Impact. And Elgin was, he had to pull himself off the Big Japan Sumo Hall show because with the Noah relationship with Impact, they've got that right of first refusal for Japan. So they wanted Elgin, and they got him. Third from the top is Marufuji versus the Great Muta. So this is what I'm talking about. It's Sumo Hall. They got to try some shit. I don't have a problem with this.
No, that sounds like a great match, man. This sounds awesome, and it's fun. Like, yeah, you're saying you're trying to get people in the building, and yeah, that's sort of a showcase match. That's one you can put on the marquee, you can put on posters or whatnot, and it grabs your eye because it's the fucking Great Muta. You know what I mean? Like, so I have no issues with that. You got your top two matches that tell decent stories. They're both for big titles. Whatever you do after that, as long as all your title matches are pretty secure and feature the guys you want to feature, then yeah, do these oddity matches. I love this is something I love about big Japan, big Japanese Sumo Hall or whatever shows is that you get a few of these matches here where they want to do these little showcase matches, these little fun matches. So yeah, I have no problem with Marufuji and Muta. It's probably not going to be good, but that's fine. Who cares? It's Muta. He'll spray some mist. Marufuji will throw some chops. I'll be fine. I'm not going to care.
It's not the point. Doesn't need to be good. So, and then fourth from the top, tag team titles. Rich, a lot of people will tell you that Nakajima and Go Shiozaki are the tag team of the year. I definitely think they're in contention after seeing all of their title matches now this year. They defend against Masa Kitamiya and Inamura. This is a weird, I'll be honest, I'm not completely familiar with the build of this particular match because it occurred on the current tour that I'm still a little behind on. The last thing they were doing with Inamura is he was getting squashed by Ironhead Fujita. But Fujita has now moved on to a feud with Shuhei Taniguchi, which we'll talk about in a minute. So now Inamura is in the tag team title mix with Kitamiya. Again, I am not familiar with the build, but it feels to me on paper like a weak title match for Nakajima and Shiozaki. And I know that, you haven't watched, so you probably don't have anything to add, right?
Nothing on there. Yeah, that's. I'll definitely check out that a little bit of what I can see. By the way, youtube.com/GHC Noah is what their channel is. Because if you just look up Pro Wrestling Noah, you're going to get like King's Arc and all these other people that have been uploading fantastic Noah matches for the last 15 years on YouTube. So it's actually very difficult to find their actual one, but it's GHC Noah if you want to find it, or if you just go to Pro Wrestling Noah's official website.
Are you looking at it now? What are the dates of the N1 show?
So I'm trying to see. Unfortunately, like I have like terrible Google Translate here. So, oh man, it is.
Well, see, I'll keep talking. You see if you can figure it out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get it for you. But so it looks like 11. No, that's not it. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'll keep looking. It's hard to tell. I'm trying to get my Google to stop translating stuff so I can actually look. All right. So Saturday, September 7th is one of them.
Okay, so the Takashi Sugiura Marufuji match I talked about.
Yes, yeah, that's on that one. And then it looks like Kano versus Mochizuki, August 26th is up there as well.
That match is awesome.
Yeah,
Arguably the
fucking great. Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome matches that you don't have to work hard to see. They're all there. And of course, if you look on YouTube and Daily Motion, the rest of the fucking shit's probably
it's not very hard to find either. Yeah.
But I mean, if you want free, legal, and easy, you can go to their YouTube page. Junior title match. Hayata defends against Yohei, and it's like these guys, it's like Yohei turns heel, then they get back together for the tag tournament. Now they're facing each other again. I am so burnt out on these two Rattels guys facing each other, teaming together. I'm lost. I don't understand the story anymore. Do they like each other? Do they not like each other? And quite honestly, I mean, they're okay, but they're not very good either. They're in a promotion that's a little deeper. They're lower level juniors. Okay, they've got a little bit of charisma, but they're not great workers. They're a little sloppy sometimes. I mean, this match is fine, but it's not going to knock anybody's socks off. And I'm just so tired of these two facing each other, teaming together, facing each other. I mean, let's just pick a path and stick with it for once.
Yeah,
With these.
and we're not huge fans of them in the first place, so it's like I'm sure there's certain people that probably cannot wait for this match, but yeah, it's not us, unfortunately.
I'm bigger fans of them if they were just slotted where they belonged. I don't like them at the top of the division, and I never have. Now, a lot of the Noah Junior stuff has been centered around the old dudes, and the old dudes have been killing it. So the tag team title match is Yoshinari Ogawa and Kotaro Suzuki defending against Daisuke Harada and Tadasuke. Now, Harada is the only fucking Rattel's guy I can tolerate. Tadasuke should never be involved in anything important. He's another guy who I think is fine, but he should be a lower level guy. I mean, he's just not, I don't know. But Ogawa and Suzuki, they have been great as a tag team. I mean, they're not out there having 4.5-star matches. But if you're familiar with these guys, like most of you probably are, you kind of get where I'm coming from. Like, they're perfectly sleazy in the right ways, and they go out there and give you a solid veteran performance. And I've really been into these guys and the run they've been having the last few months, and I think they'll retain here. I don't think they're putting a title on Tadasuke at this point.
Probably not. No, the last 5 matches of this. I wish this was the last topic we're going to talk about, because I definitely need a shower after you're about to list the names you're about to list, because man, does this show get real fucking grimy, and I'm here for it. I am fucking here for it too.
You can understand though, as we go through them, why they're doing what they're doing.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So we talked about it, Taniguchi versus Ironhead, and they brought Fujita back on the last big show they had. He beat Inamura. He's moved into this feud with Taniguchi on the most recent tour. So look, Fujita, they feel like he's a draw. I get it. And they're going to put him on this Sumo Hall show. They think he could help sell some tickets. It's going to be ugly. There's a chance that could be really bad. Taniguchi can always go either way. Fujita's a million years old. But, I get why they're doing the match, and I'm not opposed to it. And then we got a 6-man, Eddie Edwards, Katoge, and Chris Ridgway, who's been working a lot of Noah tours and doing a nice job, against Masaki Mochizuki, who just keeps working so many non-Dragon Gate dates. I think it's great. And he's teaming with, Minoru Tanaka, another one of the Noah old juniors who's been great over the summer, and Super Crazy. And they're bringing in Super Crazy for this show. So that's
what a match. What a like, the names. Awesome. Like Eddie Edwards, Katoge, Ridgway, Mochizuki, Minoru Tanaka, and Super Crazy. That's fucking awesome. I love that.
Look, it's only getting 7 minutes.
Right, it's fine. That's all it needs.
But I mean, that's an entertaining little match, and I've got no problem with it. And Minoru Tanaka is another guy who's been Minoru Tanaka, Ogawa, and Kotaro Suzuki. They have been my guys with the Noah Juniors this summer. This spring and summer, they've been outstanding. Second match on the show is a wild.
You need a shower from this one. All right, yeah, this is wow.
Is a 12-man tag, so. They're basically just shoehorning everyone on the show. We got Muhammad Yone and Quiet Storm. So we got the Funky 50 Powers there. Our boy High 69, Hitoshi Kumano, Junta Miyawaki, a couple of younger Noah guys, and Sonico. I'll tell you about him in a minute. And they're facing Kazushi Sakuraba.
Yeah.
Kazuma Sakamoto.
Yeah.
El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr., who, of course, worked the N1. Hajime Ohara, who has really been lost in the shuffle with the juniors. Nosawa, out of the question. Nosawa, who is said to be booking Noah these days and doing a nice job. I give credit where it's due. And Kinya Okada, who's one of their younger dudes. There's going to be a lot of Okadas running around.
Yeah, we gotta get. There's like 7 dudes with that last name right now. We gotta figure that out, because it's probably like, if I was a guy who had the other name, I would probably just find a way to change the name or something like that. Because it's like, you know what I mean. You're always gonna kind of be compared to, it's a guy coming up in 1995 and his name's Kobashi. It's like, you might want to just, Kenta. Kenta didn't go by, Kenta went by Kenta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He wasn't gonna fucking deal with being the other Kobashi. He was gonna be fucking Kenta. So yeah.
I mean, Kenta Kobayashi, he's like, fuck that. I'm not going to be compared to
yeah, exactly. Right.
Look, it's a 12-man tag with a lot of, guys on the roster who don't have programs. But then you've got Sakuraba, who's obviously there and has been working here recently. Again, they feel like it's Sumo Hall. They got to put names on here, Sonico is a guy who's been working the last 2 or 3 Noah tours. He's from the Pacific Northwest. And, I asked around. Rich, I know a lot of people, okay, as you know. Okay, a lot of contacts. So I asked about this Sonico. And it was funny because the person told me, I hear someone in his family knows Super Crazy, right? And then you turn around and Super Crazy is all of a sudden getting booked in Noah. So we know how Sonico got his spot.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's how we know Sonico got his spot. But he's a Pacific Northwest indie guy who works a masked gimmick. He's not like a luchador from Mexico, like I've seen a lot of people think. So, I watched one or two of his matches. He's nothing, to write home about, but, it's good to have friends. And then the opener, billed as Noah the Classic. And I like this. Okay, you bring back some names from the past, from the old green ring. We got Akitoshi Saito, Masayo Inoue, one of my least favorite wrestlers of all time, against Tamon Honda and Mitsuo Momota. So, Rich, we're taking it back to another era with that one. And again, it's Sumo Hall.
Yeah, it's fine. It's going to get 6 minutes, and it'll be fine.
They're fucking signature shit. And, it's and they're not leaving the green ring completely behind. I got no problem with it. Am I sitting through that shit if it's the third match on a Cork and Hall show? No fucking chance. Okay? Put it on this show. I got no problem. I'll sit back on my couch and I'll enjoy the nostalgia for what it is. What do you think, man? Is that an intriguing looking show for someone? Okay, I've been keeping up, okay? And I'm into it. But for someone who hasn't been keeping up, are you intrigued by that? And are you like, I'm going to give that a look?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, the top two matches for sure, Kiyomi and Kano and Sugiura Michael Elgin, all in on. Marufuji Great Muta, that's a match that I'm going to like when the entrances are happening, and I'll like when it's over, but probably not really love the bulk of it if they keep it short, depending on that. But still, that's fine. I'm not going to get upset about that. And then the tag match, like I said, I haven't unfortunately been keeping up, but that sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. And then everything else kind of, other than the junior title match, which I don't really care that much about, everything else has a nice little kind of old school sleaze nod to the past of Noah feel to it. And yeah, it'll all be short and it'll all be kind of fun. And I like those. I love those big time sort of Noah shows or Big Japan or anytime there's a big time Sumo Hall show and you kind of fill your undercard with these sort of matches, they're just kind of like a bunch of names, but some names from the past, and I enjoy those as long as they don't overstay their welcome. So no, I'm into it. It's really propped up by those top two matches though, with both have the chance to be spectacular. So I'm excited about the show for sure.
Sumo Hall, what's the smallest non-embarrassing number they could do?
Oof. Man.
Like if you see the number the next on the 3rd when you wake up, and we see the tweet from Striga.
right. Yeah, you would have it too, yeah. Okay.
What will be a bad number to you? What's the break point? What's the line?
I'm trying to think. So what, off the top of your head, do you know what people have been doing recently? Not the big time stuff, but what did All Japan do earlier this year?
All running it now. Japan's running it around the same time. All Japan's running it around.
Yeah.
We don't know. They're all running it.
I mean, they're probably not going to get. They're not going to get. I mean, they're not going to get 10,000. We know that for sure.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell. There's not 10,000 Noah fans anymore.
What number will you see where you're going to be like, that's an embarrassment?
Anything under 5, I think I would.
Ooh, you see they got to do 5. Okay.
That's tough though, right? I mean, that's kind of be tough.
That's a good number. 5 would be. Let me tell you something. They do 5, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think that everyone will be through. I'm gonna say anything that starts with a 2.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Is a failure. I think anything that starts with a 3, anywhere between 3 and 4, if it starts with a 3, it's okay. But I'm not fucking doing jumping jacks. I think anything with a 4 or higher is a very good number for them. I think a 5, that's when you're like, whoa, they're on to something.
Okay, all right. So maybe I haven't been accurately looking at.
I think you're being fair. You want to see it 5,000. Look, you're in Sumo Hall. This is big boy territory. So shouldn't they do a big boy number? I mean,
absolutely, a couple years ago. So I'm looking a couple years ago, All Japan for their 45th anniversary in August of 2017. They did 6,550. I mean that would be a remarkably big number.
Remember, that's the one that Akiyama creatively papered.
Oh yeah, that's right. So,
remember that whole thing?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Now, the tickets were technically sold, but they were sold to sponsors.
Oh, that's right. That is that one. Well, hey,
yeah. So how many people were in the building? We don't know, but they did sell them many tickets, which we praised, by the way. That was
right. Well, so okay, so
that strategy.
So last year around this, September 2018, September last year, they got for the Naomi Chimera Fuji 20th anniversary show, which we talked about, one of our show that we really, really loved, one of your favorite shows ever, because it had fucking Mira Fuji and Tommy in the main event there. 6,285. I mean, they're not topping that.
No shot.
I don't think so. There's no shot in hell.
I don't think you say 5. I mean, it's a hard number to get, but I don't think it's impossible.
You're right that 2 is like, all right, we're fucking...
2 is
we
a
suck.
fucking...
Yeah, we fucking suck, yeah. Cause...
If you can't do more than $29.99, you don't belong in the building.
Yeah.
I think between 3 and 4 is like, I'm not impressed. I think once you get to like 4,000, I'm starting to be impressed.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
I think 5,000 is like maybe their goal.
Yeah, and 6+ is just, we're not even gonna.
Oh, well, yeah.
They'll be doing literal jumping jacks. Nosawa will go in the middle of the ring and do jumping jacks for 20 minutes.
Are you kidding me? So I don't know, but I'm into it, and I guess we'll talk about All Japan and Big Japan shows at some point too. At minimum, even if we don't preview them, we'll probably review them to some extent.
That's the unfortunate part. Is I'm excited about watching it, and then I realize I'm not going to see it for a while.
Yeah, it airs like a week later or something.
Because it doesn't even like pop up anywhere on legally, right? Like it's fucking nowhere. Like nobody sees it, right?
Yeah, the Puro Dream guys will do a nice job and get it up, but it's like they can't make it air.
Yeah, right.
It's like that's the problem with that. Whereas the All Japan and Big Japan, that shit's going to air on their service.
It'll air live, and then it'll be up. When you need to see it by the next day or whatever. So yeah, it kind of stinks.
You watch that shit live if you want to pony up the money, or you could see it like the next day. So it does kind of suck.
So that is Noah. It was nice to get a little jump in Noah, and got me excited for the show now. So hopefully,
fired up, huh?
Yeah, it's good. I like I always like Noah. I wish I had more time. Again, if I could quit my job, I'd watch Noah all the time. I'd watch Noah every single week if I could. So Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. If every one of you subscribe, I watch Noah every single week, so I want to watch more kind of random Puro, but it's like, who fucking has time for that shit?
Talk about it, two of you.
All right, let's get into this here. We'll finish the show off here with the AAA Heroes Inmortales show, the Antonio Pena Memorial show that happened last week. Neither of us have seen the entire show. We're just going to talk about what we did see, at least. I mean, there was a shit ton of wrestling to watch this week with AEW and maybe doing some stuff that wasn't wrestling for a little bit. But I was able to see the last 4 matches, so varying degrees of enjoyment for those as well. And I've heard some pretty good things about the show overall. But the stuff that I saw the Lumberjack match, which was Dinastia Octagon Jr. Puma King defeating Arez, Abismo Negro Jr. and Superfly. Abismo, I believe is how to pronounce it. Yeah, I mean it was a lumberjack match, but they all had like straps or I don't know what it was exactly, but yeah, it was kind of annoying because it was one of these things where every time any guys got out of the ring, which unfortunately I just listed the names and you're probably thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. Those guys got outside of the ring, but anytime they got outside of the ring, they just got slapped by all the lumberjacks with like rubber bands or I don't know what the hell they were. There were some straps or something like that. So unfortunately, that took away a lot of the enjoyment of the actual match itself because you had a lot of good wrestlers, but I've been holding in that sneeze for like an hour, man. God, I was waiting for it to happen. But you have a lot of really fun wrestlers. But yeah, the lumberjack stipulation kind of hurt it a bit. And as Ricardo, who did our review, Ricardo Gallegos, who, if you listen to the Patreon side, did the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame Mexico episode with us and got rave reviews, by the way, for his appearance there. He did our review on the website if you want to check it out, voicesofwrestling.com. And just mentioned that it was like a stipulation that was popularized by Antonio Pena, so it was on the card, and yeah, as he said, like I 100% agree with him. He said, if you took the lumberjack stipulation out of this match, it would have been pretty good, but unfortunately, yeah, every time they went outside the ring, they just got surrounded by people hitting them with shit. So not that fun. So that was that one. Then you had the Copa Antonio Pena, which was you know that from Triple Mania, Joe, is their version of the Royal Rumble, which includes very poorly mixed music, a very loud explosion, and a lot of random people that came out, including your boy Dave the Clown was out there. Aerostar, Dave the Clown. He did okay. He did fine. He didn't win, but no, he was there. I mean, Dave the Clown, He was there, and I just love, so, he comes out, and I'm listening to the Spanish feed or whatever, and you just hear, like, whatever, Dave the Clown. I'm like, yes.
Yes, he rules.
Dave the fucking Clown, let's go, baby. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. The real thing that you want to watch, if you haven't seen this match, and remains my favorite wrestler to watch this year, like, I can't keep my eyes off this guy. Vikingo is fucking great. He is so good. And in this match, it's a Royal Rumble, and this dude's just bouncing all over the ring, doing shit. Like, so basically it ends, so it's a Royal Rumble match until the last two guys go, and then it's kind of a pinfall match. The last two guys are exactly who it needed to be. It was Black Taurus and Vikingo, and they just had a fucking great match. Like after all this bullshit of the Geek Battle Royal or whatever, these two guys go out here and just have a hell of a match. And they just do shit that you've never seen before, no regard for their bodies. Vikingo just bounces around like nobody you've ever seen before. I love Taurus. I love Vikingo. And once you get through this battle royal, I'm going to tell you, you're going to watch this and the battle royal is going to drag on you. But it is worth it at the end, because at the end you get a spectacular match between Vikingo and Taurus. So definitely do not skip this.
Yeah, I'll check that out for sure.
Would you hate me if I went best flying wrestler Vikingo this year?
No. How can I?
He should win, right? Because he's fucking spectacular. He's not going to win, but he should.
He could win. I mean,
I don't know if there's enough people, but yeah,
I don't know. I think he might be exposed enough outside of Mexico. Well, you're probably right. He probably can't win.
He probably won't win. When next year, after he's done some AEW shots, he will win for sure. So
yeah, you're right. I think, you're right. Next year, the year after, if he gets, or if AEW picks him up. Did you say AAW?
No, I'd blow my mind if he was at AAW, but no, AEW, I believe is where.
You don't think Dr. Keith's picking up?
I don't think he fucking better. I think he's tried. I think he's at least hopefully has tried, but yeah, because he knows talents. And
yeah, I mean, come on, he's got his finger on the pulse. I mean, that's AAW. That's not one of these, dopey indies that are. I'm not going to do that.
Don't get us in trouble yet. It's not WrestleMania weekend yet. We'll get to that one.
I almost named a couple of people. Like
I know.
And I'm like, it's not the wrestler's fault. Like, good for them for getting booked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah. He fucking rocks. Then we have the Mega Championship. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything else on that? No.
I'm just stuttering until you change the subject.
Anyway, just don't name anyone. AEW Mega Championship here. Ray Phoenix defending his title against Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega gets the win. I know you saw this one. You reviewed it on the Patreon side, so I'll let you start off here. Omega Phoenix, what'd you think?
Yeah, I reviewed a bunch of matches. A written review of that and TJ Perkins versus Damian Slater that I talked about earlier, and a couple of other matches on the Patreon. Written reviews are on the $1 tier, so if you want to read those reviews, I mean, it only costs you $1. I mean, geez. So, but I have a detailed review of that match and three others behind the paywall. But yeah, I'll just quickly say I loved it, and I really didn't like the 6-man tag with the Bucks and Omega versus the Lucha Brothers, and who was their partner at Triple Mania? It's I'm blanking on it.
Who was that? Sorry. I'll get it for you in a sec because someone's screaming right now. I know who. Oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue too. I'm gonna see it. It's
anyway.
So obvious. It was Laredo Kid. That was it.
Yeah, I didn't like that match. I thought it was slow and awkward and a little too choreographed for my taste. I think you didn't like it. I don't remember what. No,
we buried it 6 feet. Yeah, people got mad at us for burying it as much as we did. So.
And this match was starting off the same way, and I was disappointed, but then it turned into something totally different. I mean, these guys went out there. This was violent and nasty and aggressive and hard hitting, and there was accidental blood, and there was blood flying all over the place, and they told a great story down the stretch, the closing stretch. The finishing sequence was, Kenny Omega standing on the top rope, not sitting, and then Phoenix attempting to do like a springboard Rana, which normally the opponent is sitting. When you do that, Kenny is standing. Maybe people aren't understanding the gravity.
Right. Kenny Omega is 6'1", 6'2", standing on the top of the rope. Yeah.
So he's standing, let alone the balance issues when Phoenix is springboarding off of the rope, right?
Right. Like I would fall down in 10 seconds. I could get myself on the top rope, but then the second anybody moved anything in the ring, I would fall off for sure. But no. Yeah, it's spectacular.
I can't stress enough how crazy this spot was. So Phoenix goes for the springboard Rana, and Kenny catches him in midair and turns it into a powerbomb. And then from there, Phoenix was kind of cooked. and Kenny used like his sit out pile driver for a near fall. I forget what he called it. Probably some dopey video game name for it. And then he hit the one winged angel, and I think Phoenix did a 1 count kick out on the pile. Did he do a 1 count?
I forgot if he did a 1 count. I think it was so the power bomb was a real like 2.9999 kick out that got a huge pop from the crowd. And I forget if it was a 1 after that, after the pile driver. I don't recall. At
any rate, it was the last of Phoenix's life force at that point, and then he hit one winged angel. Phoenix might have hit a move or two in between, but then he put him away with the one winged angel. And the closing stretch was phenomenal. They told it wasn't just a my turn, your turn thing. They ended up telling a nice pro wrestling story in the midst of all of their wild craziness. And Kenny showed that, you know, coming off his incredible historical year last year, that he still has it in him to have a match of the year caliber match, because this was really great.
Yeah, I loved it. A lot of the same things that you liked about it, I did as well. And yeah, it wasn't overly long, too. I think it was just about 20 minutes or so, a little over 20 minutes, which I loved. That they didn't get too wild with it. They didn't get too long. And yeah, it was hard-hitting at the beginning. Instead of just kind of being a slow, sort of methodical, you know, work-a-limb match, it was just kind of hard-hitting at the beginning. And then they just kind of got to it, where it was just like these guys showing, you know, what they do best. And Phoenix going for his big spots and Kenny going for his big spots. But it never at one point felt like overly like they were just doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, it all felt like it made sense. It all fit like in the context too. And what was really cool too is the crowd was hot for it, man. The crowd really, really was rooting for Omega. When Phoenix would kick out, they'd go nuts. When Kenny would kick out, they would go nuts. So they were just invested in both guys, and they were just invested in coming and seeing a good match, which is pretty cool to see. And when Kenny did get the victory, it was a nice little pop as well, with the, you know, the Mexican crowd being pretty happy about it. Or, you know, not everybody. I mean, there was obviously a vocal crowd that was, you know, not super happy about it. But yeah, I think a good move for AAA. And as far as I can tell, and I think Dave alluded to it, Dave Meltzer alluded to it on the Observer Radio this week, is that belt's going to get defended in AEW, whether it's not television, but possibly the dark or possibly on YouTube or whatever. But like that title, it's in a good place. I mean, they're going to get some publicity from this. So good move by that. And yeah, I was all for it. Kenny Omega winning. And yeah, a match. Definitely go out of your way to check this out. I went about 4.5 with it. And I think absolutely worth your time if you get a chance.
We talked about this when the Bucks won the tag team titles. It's like, this can't be bad for AAA to get their world title exposure in AEW to American audiences. So, you know, eventually Phoenix will win it back, or someone else will beat Kenny. But yeah, this is a move that, I mean, it's not like unprecedented or anything like that. It's a good idea from AAA's standpoint. But yeah, really great match.
Yeah, and I did want to say as well, you know, one thing that I noticed, and I've seen a lot of, you know, Phoenix singles matches with AEW, the aforementioned AEW, and it makes me so upset that like he's only known kind of to big audiences as like a tag wrestler with Pentagon, because he's incredible as a singles, and that's one of my things that I get kind of annoyed that he's just slotted in AEW right now as just, you know, with Pentagon Jr. And it's nothing against Pentagon. Pentagon's incredible as well. I think both guys actually offer a lot individually, and I hope that at some point we get to that where they can break up. Not necessarily like a blood feud breakup, but like a feud where whatever, they go off into their different paths and they work singles matches, because both guys are tremendous singles wrestlers too, and it'd be a nice kind of change of pace, because I think a lot of people have only seen them as a tag team, and then you see a match like this and you realize how great Phoenix is, you know, by himself on his own or whatever. So hopefully we'd get some more you know, opportunities to do that down the line, especially in AEW would be nice.
I think Phoenix is the guy that when people talk about who's the best wrestler in the world, he's the name that always gets left off that shouldn't. He's in the conversation. He really is that good. And he's the kind of guy where you watch his matches and then you remember, oh yeah, this guy might be the best wrestler.
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah, he's unbelievable. The stuff he does, and I've always said it too. If you've never seen him live, he's mind-blowing live. You can't fathom what he's able to do live, and how quickly he's able to do it, and how smooth he's able to do it. And then you also keep in mind that he's wrestled like 6 times that week as well, including like he's working in 2 days. He's working at some fucking soccer, like indoor soccer training center near my house against Gringo Loco. And I'm like, you're Phoenix, dude. You don't have to do those anymore. But he's fucking, that's Phoenix. Like, he's going to work that. And I guarantee you if I go, he's going to do he's going to go and be balls out. There'll be 25 people there. nobody's gonna, and he's gonna go and be balls out. He's gonna be incredible because that's just what he does.
Match with Rico Loco.
Yeah, it'll be great. Like I kind of want to go. It's on a Sunday night. I'm hoping I can find my way over there. So
that guy basing for him too. Like
absolutely, yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, it's me and
he'll have a great match with that guy. Yeah, he's and let me tell you, I talked about this behind the paywall today. Thursday TV reviews, $5 tier, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. You'll hear me go on a 40-minute rant about Jim Ross. You'll hear me review AEW and NXT. Pentagon and Phoenix the last 2 weeks have been on fire.
They've been great. Yeah, they've really turned it around for me because we came on the show talking about how I'm kind of sick of these guys doing this fucking private party match. Oh my God, that was so good. I loved that opener.
Yeah, and Phoenix just does things physically that aren't even like. I think Rob Viper does a good job putting up the GIFs. He does like little things that no one else on earth can do, and you don't really notice them unless you're paying close attention. Just with body control. And the way he sets up his springboard moves, he really isn't. There's your best flyer of the year. I mean, that's the guy that's gonna.
It's tough, yeah. That you're right. He's probably the better pick, honestly.
EW exposure, and I mean, it'll be him or fucking Will Ospreay.
It'll be Will again or something like that. Yeah,
it's not going to be the Vikingo this year. You're right.
Damn it. Yeah, no, I'll be alone on there. But yeah, so I'll even say that Phoenix and Pentagon popped my mom, who was like, "Man, those guys in that opening match, like she fucking loved that match." I called her today, and she was like, "Those guys in that opening match, like they're so athletic and gymnastic or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah."
Wait till Vikingo gets there and the Chinese get there.
I know she's gonna blow her mind. Yeah.
And just they should have Phoenix should wrestle those guys.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I know.
They can open up Dynamite with that. The Chinese guy. I always forget the one Chinese. I'm bad with the names, but the one Chinese guy who's like the super acrobatic one, above even the others.
I know who you're talking about, but I couldn't possibly even try to pronounce or remember his name. Yeah, I think it's Gao something or Gao H. I forget. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to bother because we'll just butcher it beyond belief. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That guy in there, and they can get Vikingo, and they can get Phoenix. I mean, that's the WCW Cruiserweight division, 20 years evolved.
Yeah, right.
And it can really people like your mother, who just run into the show, can just be blown away by shit like that. And the Chinese are coming, by the way. Even with all this OWE turmoil and everything, those Chinese, it's a visa thing, but they're coming. So it's don't write that off. I know we weren't even sure, but we got some information.
Right, that's still a thing. So,
and yeah, they're coming. There's a group of a half a dozen Chinese who are coming. So that's happening.
And I can't wait because, like you said, that is going to be something that differentiates them from so many other people. And these guys are just breathtaking, with what they can do. So I definitely cannot wait. And then in our main event here, it was a 4-team steel cage match. Pentagon Jr. won the match. You also had Tejano in there. You had Psycho Clown, Rey Scorpion, Averno, Dr. Wagner Jr., Chessman, Pagano. It fucking stunk, Joe. It fucking stunk.
Really?
It was so bad.
Did it stink to where I need to see it?
No. It was just guys got in the ring and just hit each other with shit for 15 minutes. It fucking stunk.
It's when AAA goes bad,
right? The first two, the prior two matches that I talked about, the prior 2-3 matches I talked about was AAA when I love it, when it's just good hot work, good action, fun crowds, and then it's just dudes getting in a ring and hitting each other with shit. I was my God, it was so bad. And especially Pentagon being in there and knowing what Pentagon's capable of, and he's just in there just hitting guys with cookie sheets and chairs and stuff. It's pretty bad, man. It's not for me. I'm sure somebody out there is listening and saying they loved it or whatever. That's not my AAA. That's not AAA that I enjoy. So
AAA's it can be plundery, but this was just not fun.
No. This yeah. I think the problem was with the cage match aspect of it. It's just everybody was stuck in the cage, and that kind of hurt as well. So it's there wasn't a lot of room. There was a lot of people in this cage. So guys would just kind of get hit and. I don't know. It just it stunk. I don't think you're gonna like it. I know Ricardo gave it 2 stars. He didn't really like it much either. So
I'm never gonna watch that. I'm gonna
don't watch it. Don't watch it. Watch Phoenix and Omega, which you saw, and watch the Copa Antonio Pena, and then don't watch anything.
Yeah, definitely gonna watch that. So,
but otherwise, from what I saw, pretty fun last half of the show, and I heard some good stuff about the early part of the show as well. So definitely want to check that out if you get a chance to see it all. And then I think that's it for us here today. So again, as you mentioned, AEW NXT reviews up on the Patreon side, patreon.com/voices of wrestling. I know you went into a big discussion about Jim Ross, which I cannot wait to listen to because I have very similar thoughts about Jim Ross, but we had to do, I'm a little tired now. I don't know if I have the passion to rip on Jim Ross. So go listen to that because Joe, you did 40 straight minutes of ripping on Jim Ross?
I looked at the counter. I think I don't know if I did. Well, I mean, by the time I got to the review portion of the show, it was the 40-minute mark. But remember, I talk ratings too.
Yeah, right. So
I probably did 10, 15 minutes of ratings and like 20, 25 minutes of just screaming at Jim Ross.
So potentially 20 to 30 minutes of Joe screaming about Jim Ross, which I am in for because he fucking stinks and he's terrible and he needs to go away. So said it at the time too, but it is what it is. But well, I'm sure that'll be a discussion for another day because I doubt he's going anywhere right now and I doubt he's going to get any better. So we'll have another chance to talk about that. But that's it for us right here. Voicesofwrestling.com, of course, where you want to go to all of our reviews, previews, columns, all that other good stuff, as well as our Discord channel. A lot of good discussions going on there right now. Voicesofwrestling.com/Discord to do that. Joe and I mentioned a lot during the show, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. If you go there and subscribe, everybody listen to this, go there and subscribe, and then we will be able to watch Noah a lot more. And Joe will do daily audio, and we will all be much happier people. So just go and do that. It's not that hard. $5 gets you started. Then we can, quit our day jobs. That'll be great. Voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon for that. At Voices Wrestling on Twitter as well, if you want to follow us in that cesspool of a website. But you probably don't want to. You just don't want to. And never tweet. Don't tweet either, because it's a terrible, terrible thing to do. Anyway, for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll see you guys next time on the Voice Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.